Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ETF2L Highlander Season 7 Awards Show. This is the culmination of the season, guys. Season is over. We're going to talk about the winners of the individual awards. Joining me today is Hildreth, the captain and demo man for Highlander. We have Beep, captain and pyro of Team Stacked. We have Nursey, medic for the runners-up of the season of Premtech. We have Sprayer, medic for the champions, Tourette's Chess Club, and as a surprise guest, we also have Quintosh, who was the demo / NG for Chess Club over the season. And obviously we have a John behind all the production as well. So a welcome to him as well. How you guys doing tonight?
Sweet.
Pretty good, yeah.
I'm pretty okay.
I'm fine.
Great stuff.
Nothing quite like some hype, is there?
Can I just say, I'm just looking at all the pictures here. Sprayer just looks like a typical Eastern European, just the place he's living.
Yeah.
It's like looking back into a Victorian set on a film.
That's actually Prague.
Is it? Oh crap, that's one of the best cities in the world. Still, my racism, it's only been a minute in and I still can't help being racist.
Thanks for that, Hildreth. It's good. Breaking the ice. So I guess we'll just do like an overview of the season for anyone who somehow has missed it. It's been under a rock for the past few months. Winners this season were, of course, Tourette's Chess Club. They were probably one of the favourites at the start of the season. But looking at the table on ETF2L, I suppose we'll start from the bottom. So the team that finished at the bottom were, unfortunately, Voodoo. They finished with 4 points. Next up were Hepper with 5 points, up in 7th place. Surprisingly enough, Killswitch were in 6th. That's something I suppose we'll go into later. For me, one of the top teams at the start of the season, obviously won Highlander Season 5. So we're probably one of the favourites to be there or thereabouts in the playoffs. So surprising to see them down in 6th. And then it becomes really, really tight. It was a really, really close season, I think, with regards on who was going to get to the playoffs. I mean, when you consider Killswitch one of the favourites, and they finished in 6th, we've then got Fair Enough, sponsored by TF2Pickup.net. They finished in 5th place with 23 points. Just above them with 28, who managed to get into the playoffs, was Stacked. They were knocked out in the first playoff round. I suppose you could call it the quarterfinals. Highlander finished at the end of the season in 3rd. Maybe another surprise, seeing as they were season 6 champions, and everybody thought that I thought they were power onto another title, but they did not. They were scuppered by the team in 2nd place, Premtech. Premtech coming through every round of the playoffs to get to the final, knocking out Stacked in the first game over 3 maps, knocking out Highlander in the semi-finals. Over 3 maps, and then going on to 3 maps against Tourette's Chess Club in the final, who then went on to win the game. So, I mean, all sorts of ups and downs over the course of the season. Some of the key matches, I guess, ones that stood out for me at least, Stacked taking points off of both Highlander. I mean, not going to be too harsh, but destroying them perhaps on Gravel Pit, and also taking 3 points off Chess Club. I think the only points that really Chess Club lost over the course of the season, other than Golden Caps. Premtech doing huge over the course of the playoffs. And yeah, really, there's so much to talk about. So I suppose I'm just going to go down the list and maybe just, guys, you can just tell me about your highlights over the course of the season. Obviously, you've played in the games, so you're probably in a better position to talk about it to me. So we'll start off with Hildreth. Thoughts on the season? Standout moments? Talk to me.
Oh Lord.
I mean,
I
suppose I could start off by saying to you, to give you a starting point, you guys were expected to win the season by a lot of people. You know, you won Season 6, you were runners-up in Season 5, and looking at your roster, you have some of the best players around in Highlander, and a lot of people thought that there was nobody who could really stop you. So, like, what happened?
Well, if I had to put it down to anything, it was probably the usual excuses, really. We didn't have as many consistent practices as we needed. I don't think people really wanted to practice that much. I mean, one of the key things was from about something around week 4 to about week 7, we didn't have a single practice game with our full lineup. We managed to play most of the games, except for the game against Chess Club, with most of our players, but other than that, that was probably the It was probably the main thing towards the mid to the end of the season, just sort of not practicing hard enough win. And that's probably what lost us in the end. I think he is the week that we played Steel against Chess Club. We had one practice game of which I wasn't there because I forgot that we were practicing. I was at work, so I'll stay late. And then we played the game with about 2 or 3 different people than our main roster. And we've only got ourselves to blame, because if we had managed to win that game, we would have been the first seed. And in the final, we wouldn't have had to play Premtech in that game and lose to them as well. So that's the only reasons I can give towards it, really.
Were there any teams that surprised you this season? I mean, you're an old man of Highlander now, Hildreth, I have to say.
Oh yes, Premtech definitely surprised me in terms of how well they did. I mean, a lot of people were sort of laughing at them at the start of the season. They're like, Maytu on his ETF2L page, going to come top 3 in Prem. And then everyone was laughing at him. And this kid, he's terrible. But then, and when we played them, I didn't actually think that they would, because they didn't look very good early in the season, but they just grew as the season went on. And, they surprised a lot of people. I've played very well. Some of their players really good, like Shadowburn, Tasani. Nursey's probably the best medic this season, but that's only because Kisakala's just the worst medic. But other than that,
Nice guess.
Kill Switch surprised me by how bad they did. But I think when I chatted with Bula about this, he said he was of the opinion they just didn't care, and it kind of goes to show really. A lot of it's down to just how hungry people are to win.
I'm gonna go just to expand on the kill switch thing.
Excuse me.
They won season 5. They were forced to be reckoned with over season 6. Maybe surprising people by not getting to the final. Do you see that there's similarities between that and what's happened with Highlander, perhaps? I mean, do you see after losing this final, do you guys have the motivation to come back in season 8? You've said that you are coming back for next season. Do you think you can maintain that kind of determination to put in a good challenge and get back the title?
I missed most of that because somebody walked into my room. Sorry.
Do you think are you going to have the same motivation with High Panda for next season, or are you going to go the same way as Kill Switch?
Being honest, I think losing to Premtech is probably the best thing that could have happened to us, because if we had won the season with the amount of practice we'd put in, I'm not sure that the team would have hung around, or at least some of them. But now, because we've lost, some of the players are certainly more determined. Of course, some might see it as their end game, and the German land that's coming up seems to be a long-term target as well. So we've got more to play for now, rather than being champions and barely practicing at the end. We're embarrassed ourselves by becoming 3rd, and we want to be better.
Just on that, can I ask Hildreth, that was on your team page earlier for something, and I just noticed that Pedox left. Is he going to be around for next season, do you know?
Pedox, he voluntarily left the roster. He just felt it was best to move. Well, actually, no, that doesn't maintain my image. I kicked him.
Okay.
Shit player. Terrible. Just wasn't good enough at the end of the day. We're gonna. You better watch out, Quintosh, because we're coming after your guy.
All right.
No, Pedox just said it wasn't really working out. He didn't feel it was working out, so he left. So that's pretty much.
He wasn't really putting much effort into the game either. Like, he was always practicing heavy. He was playing a lot of pickups, he was playing mixes, and he was always really keen. And then towards the end of the season, when I watched his stream, he was always so focused on winning heavy 1v1s and check the logs. Did I do good against that heavy?
I didn't.
And he was just playing different games other than he wasn't really practicing.
To be fair, I don't want to call out Pedox because he's a great guy. But his performance wasn't as good as I hoped towards the end of the season. So
yeah, but
it was a bit unfortunate. But another thing that shows is the guy he must have a lot of money, because he seems to go on holiday almost every week. I swear. He was gone for a big portion of the season. That probably affected his play. towards the end of it.
All right, thanks. I mean, I've come to Hildreth as the defending champion of last season, so I suppose the natural progression would be go over to the winner, and I'm going to ignore Quintosh because he's a bonus. He's a bonus. The real man here is Sprayer. Sprayer, congratulations on winning the season. Tell me your thoughts about it. Did you guys expect to win it? Do you expect to win it in the way that you did, or what? You know, who were the teams that you thought would give you trouble, and which teams in the end did give you the more trouble?
Well, like before the season, it was like pretty obvious that Highlander and Chess Club are gonna be the top candidates. However, we weren't really like a form to still beat them. We couldn't beat them in PCWs. Like in the Invitational Cup, like we were doing quite well until Highlander. Like Highlander was we expected to play Highlander in the final. We expected that the Steel official against Highlander will be pretty hard, and we pretty much just thought that everyone else won't really give us a challenge except Highlander. But luckily, like we lost some points to Kill Switch then on Barn Blitz, and it was really an interesting game. And then we were like, guys, stop. We're doing something wrong. Like we need to focus. And like also then we lost 3 points to Stack, and we've seen that it's not gonna be as easy, and that we're not taking it serious enough. So somewhere like mid week 4, week 5, we started like practicing really heavily because the Highlander week was coming.
It was like
And-
Sixes was over, so we had
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah,
time to play
we-
multiple games a night and stuff. We did a lot of map talks.
Yeah, we did a lot of map talks and felt really good. And like at some point, we also started playing pretty well against Highlander, and we were really confident that we can take this. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the results as the season's gone on. Like, you know, you got a golden cap over Kill Switch. You dropped 2 points there. You dropped 3 points, like you said, to Stacked, and then from then on, it's hard to really kind of argue. You got a golden cap over Highlander, which is probably as good a result as you could have got under the circumstances.
Well,
So,
thing
like from there,
is-
you seem pretty strong.
the thing is, I don't think Highlander had like. I think they had like Mookie on Pyro, and I don't know. They didn't like. Like
Epic.
it was really lucky we actually won that. I'd say that we practiced for that game quite heavily. We practiced a lot of Steel. However, Highlander did something really unexpected. I don't know if they planned it or not, but they literally like used some strats that we weren't prepared for, and it surprised us. But we managed to somehow pull off a victory. But I think if Highlander would actually have their full roster, they could take it easily.
Maybe not.
Well, maybe not, but
We didn't
like,
practice that week, and it was completely our fault.
maybe because you didn't practice, you managed to like take the points off us, like unexpected strats and stuff. But I think our biggest surprise was probably the final, like against Premtech. We had the higher C, we had an advantage. We expected to play Highlander, but then it was unexpected, like Premtech. Oh well, okay, that shouldn't be as hard.
Let's not practice anymore.
Yeah, well, we still practiced, and we were like we planned to pick like Reservoir and Gullywash a long time ago, so we practiced mainly that. We also practiced Bad Word because we believe that Premtech is gonna choose that. But like I was confident that if we win Gullywash, then it's pretty much like the season is ours. However, Gullywash game turned really unexpected. Premtech started using Shadowburn strats. Well, and they started using Kresnik on roaming, and it was really something really weird, something we haven't been used to play. And when we were really nervous when we lost the first round. It was all messy. Then somehow we managed to cap it, and when we went into the golden cap and we like chilled down a bit, we knew what we were doing wrong, and then we just went into the golden cap, which we lost the mid first. However, we backed off in time. Like we got the med pick. and then we pushed all the way to last and capped it. Gravel Pit, we didn't expect it, honestly. Like, we never actually had any proper games again on Gravel Pit because last season Electric Temptations folded, so we couldn't really play against them. And this season we played HEPA, which didn't really give us much of a challenge, despite the fact that our strategies have flaws, which was pretty obvious when we played against Premtech. We really didn't expect that map, so we lost it. Like, it was maybe a bit of a shame, but we lost it pretty bad. And then, but we had something to strike back with. We had the Reservoir.
The ace.
Yeah, the ace. And that was like the Gravel Pit of Premtech. It was the Gravel Pit of Chess Club. It was Reservoir. And it was honestly like, we just capped mid. And we let them maybe cap once, but that was it. Like, then the pressure was off. We already, after the first round, we were confident. Yeah, we're gonna win this. But honestly, when we won it, when Reservoir was over, it felt kind of weird because there wasn't really much joy. We wanted to beat Highlander actually, like in the finals. It would be like a bigger achievement for us because Highlander, like, is our great nemesis from the last season, and like,
Wait, you saw us as the nemesis?
yeah, like, we wanted revenge for that last
So for
season.
you guys, you really want Highlander to come back so that you can beat them in the final. You need a season 8 final to beat them.
Like,
I'd personally be more happy to have beaten the team that beat us. So,
I mean, I want to play against like powerful Highlander, not Muki on Pyro Highlander. I want like.
Mookie is better than Scissors. Let's admit it right here, right now. Let's just go out and say that he is better than Scissors.
All right.
What about Steve though? Is he better than Steve?
Okay, baby.
Quintosh, maybe guys from you perhaps, seeing as you are also from Chess Club. You changed to engineer for the last game of the season, and like Breakfast Junior joined you guys halfway through season 6. You kind of had a bit of a roster change during season 6, and that's you swapped snipers around. I think you had Snow at one point in the season. You used Tracker, and then in the final it was Inso. How did you guys feel with the change in the final? Like Quintosh especially, you know, changing to engineer and having Hui on demo. Did that affect you guys in the final? It's something like the casters we were talking about, whether or not that would be changing your style a little bit.
I was definitely playing a different demo style before the update, and it just kind of, oh my god, my chair just broke. It just kind of fucked me over. Like, I couldn't, like, I was really burnt out from my real life. I had a lot of work and a lot of studies to do for school, and I just couldn't make up time to learn how to deal with the update. So it was like the best decision to get someone else that wanted to play anyway and put me on something else that I'm more confident with at the moment. So yeah, we just put me on NG and put Huey on demo because it's a much stronger roster than what we had before, and even before the update. I think Huey is like a way better demo at the moment. So yeah, also we had Snow for like the beginning of the season, but he's like the biggest TF2 quitter. Like, he quits and comes back 2 weeks after. It's been happening like 6 to 7 times already. Breakfast, me, and Banana Man actually joined late season 6, so it was like half a roster change at the end of season 6. But we managed to play together, and in the end, we won the season.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's going to argue that you guys deserve to win the season. But the final was pretty intense. Talking about the final, Nursey, I think it's time to bring you in. Premtech did really well. Did you guys expect to? I mean, there's always the team page that everyone's probably seen by now that when you guys were created at the start of season 6 to finish in the top 3 of Prem by season 7, did you guys legitimately think you would get into the top 3?
No, I don't know when I actually thought that on our team. Mido put that there as a joke for some reason. Like the same reason why Mido listed us as a North American team, even though there's only 2 North American players on the team. I don't know why he did it. He just kind of doing it. I don't know. Like at the beginning of the season, I think some of us didn't even think we were going to make playoffs. But we said soon when playoffs started approaching, we started getting a lot better. And I don't even think we expected to beat Highlander. All it came down to is that we wanted to beat Stacked, and that was it.
I have a question for Nursey.
What?
Why did you kick Rusev?
Rusev?
I guess he doesn't know.
Oh, actually, I kind of know why. I don't know the exact reason. I just know that Mido really didn't want me playing with Rusev. That's all I know.
He would kick Polar Bear anytime for the Ox, anytime.
Like, Mido really wanted me to play for some reason. And it was very... Huh?
I was going to say, is there some tensions from some other time? Maybe you ever met Rift before?
No, Mido tells me he's a very angry type of guy or something.
The Cold War? Do the Cold War? He's Russian,
It's-
isn't
No, it's Lithuania.
So...
He
Oh,
played
God.
in the national team.
he? Even worse.
I even remember one time during one of our PCWs, I guess Rusev didn't know he wasn't playing yet. So he came into Mumble, and then Rusev going, hey, why am I not playing? And Michael was like, you're not playing, Rusev, get out of here. And then Rusev said like one really mean thing that I can't remember, and then he left the Mumble.
That sounds like Rusev, from what I've heard of him. Anyway, I don't really know him.
When Mido got me on the team, that was pretty weird too. Like, I thought he was like a bot at first trying to scam me, to be honest. I was up at like 6 in the morning, and Mido adds me, and he goes, hey, do you want to join my Prem team? That's the first thing he says to me. And so he keeps messaging me about joining his Prem team, and this was around when that one scam came about people adding competitive players saying to join their Steel team and stuff. So I thought this was a bot. So like I'm laughing with my friends at K&D Mumble that someone is trying to make me join their Prem team. And so I accused Mido of being a robot, trying to scam me of my precious Team Fortress 2 items. And I find out he was actually serious about the offer. He only did this because some other team, I don't remember what team it was, I feel mean for it, picked up Overseer. And he quote to quote said, he wanted a NA medic who he thought was better than Overseer. So after every other medic said no, he offered me.
So it's nice to be wanted. Looking at your guys' results though, the only teams you really lost to throughout the season were Chess Club and Highlander during the regular season. You dropped 2 points to Stacked, but against all the other teams, you picked up 6-0, 1 default against Voodoo. So going into the playoffs, you guys actually had a pretty good record. So sort of, did you think kind of at the end of the regular season that maybe there was a chance that you would be able to, maybe get to the final or do something more, considering you'd beaten everyone essentially other than, Chess Club and Highlander?
No, because basically what happened is that, like, as the regular season went on, we started believing we could make playoffs. Basically, the goal was to make playoffs. So when we made playoffs, and we had that one match against Chess Club during the beginning of playoffs, I guess, they kind of really destroyed us. So we thought to ourselves, okay, there's no way we're probably against the grand final. And we didn't, and we knew our games were going to be against Stacked and then against Highlander. And we figured we weren't going to have any chance against Highlander, so our one goal was to make sure we didn't lose to Stacked at that point. And the only reason, and I think like after we beat Stacked, our PCWs are going really well. And I think that's when we started like actually having the confidence that we might actually be able to beat Highlander and probably have a good final against Chess Club.
You actually switched your playstyle around like late playoffs. I think even before playing against Highlander, you started putting Kresnik on the flank and Shadowburn into the combo and giving him like a quarter of the heals.
That kind of just like happened. Like, to be honest, Shadowburn never talked like at all. He was just always quiet and like he would say some things every now and then, but most of the time it was just me talking, saying what everyone should be doing, stuff like that. And I'm not used to being on a main client position, so this is kind of a new experience for me. And then going to the grand final, Shadowburn just starts talking all the time. Like, he would never shut up. He just always kept talking. And I really liked it. Like, I'm not complaining about it. This was like Shadowburn was taking everything like super serious, and I really like that. And so like I don't think we ever had Shadowburn play more around the combo. Like to be honest, until like Grand Final and the PCW before the Grand Final, it just kind of happened because I guess Shadowburn was like really taking it serious. Because I guess he really is friends with people on Premtech.
It's the same with people like Atomic and Ubers on my team, like Scout and Soldier. They're like really quiet throughout the season, throughout the map talks, throughout the PCWs, and then in the last game they suddenly start going mad. They start talking. Like it was really great.
I hate to move you guys on, but people want the awards soon enough. But I can't ignore Beep, as he's the only person who hasn't had a chance to say anything yet. Beep,
What's up?
how's it going? How did you feel? Like, just from my point of view, Stacked totally changed their roster at the start of the season, and looking at the players and this, like the kind of the proximity to the start of the season with the change of players, I wasn't sure what to expect out of you, but you guys did really, really well. Obviously, you took points off a Chess Club and Highlander. How do you feel the season went for you, and are you satisfied? And you coming back next season?
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, yeah, we will be back next season. The start of the season, looking at the roster, was kind of rocky. We only got a spy a couple of days before the Upward Week 1 game against HEPA. The Overseer joined us, and then before our game with Premtech, she just stopped showing up to scrims, and we kind of lost that on Golden Cup, and that was kind of shit. But as the season went on, I think we did better than people outside the team thought, because if you just look at it this way, for example, we got Asa instead of Admirable. That I think most people would have thought that's like a downgrade. Same thing with Samzy and Susie and some other positions. I think people really rated us like maybe the lowest team in Prem after those changes. But the difference was that these guys were keen to play, and those sixes guys like Huhi, Samzy, Admirable, if they had an opportunity to ditch Highlander for sixes, they would have taken it. So we had like slightly more keen games this season. So I think we did about right in the season, coming fourth at the end. I think maybe we should have done a bit better, but it was a very enjoyable season. I was a bit surprised at Killswitch. I thought they would have done better, but it's sad to see another kind of like long-term Highlander team kind of die. But yeah, we'll be back
they're a
next
really
season.
unlucky team. Like they got players, and these players left, and then they got someone else, and then they left as well, and then they just stopped playing, and then they got Atomicos on heavy, and it was like the worst thing that could happen to them, because he like seriously, he shit talks his team on his stream. Like he says bad things, while his team has no idea what he's actually saying about them. So yeah, they've done a lot for the community, and they're a really great team, and it's just unfortunate seeing it happen to them.
Yeah, from what I understand, they're not coming back next season, which is sad, seeing as such a big team, such a big history. But from what I can tell, Chess Club, Premtech, High Panda, Stacked are all coming back. So that's the top 4 teams from Prem coming back, and I would have guessed that Fair Enough are coming back. Team a pretty solid team, and they only just missed out on the playoffs, so I can imagine they're coming back.
I think we should do the gossip at the end. Do you not think?
Sure. Sorry, Hildreth. I'll move
That
on.
I just there is a lot of gossip though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can move on to the awards now. While we've been talking, John has actually been sorting out the percentages rather than the votes. We can actually give you the percentages. So we're going to go on to Scout of the season to begin with, and I guess what I'll do is I'm just going to go down the players, and talk about just give you the winners, give you the top 3 starting from number 3 to 1. Then you guys can kind of say if you agree, and if not, why not? So Scout of the season, the nominees were Atomic, Juso, and Sorex. In third place with 16% of the vote was Juso. In second place with 36.6% of the vote was Atomic.
Sorex. Oh my god.
And the winner is Sorex with 47% of the vote.
What the heck?
Hooray!
So
Finally.
Scout of the season was Sorex. Guys, what do you think about that?
Well, that has
It's
to be
not
true.
justified.
has to be true. I mean, last season he was kind of he didn't get the award, I'm gonna say, because Lazy Bear is a long-term Highlander player. It's way more well known than Sorex. But this season, like it was pretty clear that Sorex was the best scout, I thought.
I think if you put like 15% of the heals in every single Uber on the scout, there's like no way you can play bad. Like,
Who does
he
that?
obviously has good aim, but he's like a really quiet guy and he's extremely inconsistent, and he would always rage quit after scrims.
That
Blame
is
the rage
Ooh.
voting
completely
system.
Okay, so
wrong.
just settle down, guys. Settle down. Seeing as Beep played on the team with him, I have to say I voted for Sorex. I'm going to admit it. I think, to be fair, last season Lazy Bear did do so much work, but it's all good. He kind of deserved to get to win Scout of the season. He was kind of a linchpin in their team, and I think Sorex is kind of doing the same for Stacked. I think he does so much work for them. No disrespect to the rest of the team, but I think he is, for me, the standout player. Obviously, Beep, you're going to agree. You're on the same team. Do you guys know how? Do you guys play around that? Do you guys kind of use him in that way?
To be quite honest, not really. Sorex is very, I don't know what this rage stuff's about. I literally haven't heard Sorex say one ragey thing since he's played with us in the past probably 4 seasons. And I mean, yeah, statistically, I looked at the 3 scouts that were nominated and looked at their head-to-head games. So, for example, when Sorex met Atomic, Atomic met Juso, Juso met Sorex. And as I expected, Sorex had the most frags, 160, with 28 scout kills, and Atomic with 141, and Juso lagging behind with 81. I wasn't at all surprised that Sorex would be the scout of the season, and I expect when Gentleman John's stats come out, even though Sorex played a game fewer than the other scouts, I expect that his stats will still be better. We don't really play around that, to be honest, apart from like the usual stuff whenever you get a demo on a scout to chase the medic, like that's just standard. But for the most part, just keep Sorex on the flank and on the card, killing everything that comes to him, and don't really give him any special attention.
I didn't ever
I'm going to
notice
go
him
for
on
an
the flank.
impartial because I know that Quintosh, I'm sure you feel quite strongly for Atomic. It was a close vote at the end. It was only, what, 67 votes in it out of over 600. So like 10% of the vote was the only swing. Hildreth, as the only player here who doesn't have a scout in the poll, what's your opinion? What's your opinion? As a demo, playing in the season, who did you struggle to play against out of those 3?
Oh, I feel bad Yangpai wasn't nominated. He's actually very good for us. I mean, they all played pretty good seasons, but I have to say Sorex didn't really stand out like he has in the past. Atomic put in the sort of performances that carried chess to victory, like his final performance on the last map against Premtech. He was
37 and 5.
Yeah, he was dominating. I think that really sort of made a difference because at the end of the day, yes, some players play on better teams, but it's really more about what you can do for your team rather than what your team can do for you. And I think Atomic was very strong over the season. I'd say he was probably deserving of the award more than Sorex, but I think Sorex probably deserved it last season, to be fair. So
There was like
it's
at
one
the
of those
beginning,
things.
at the beginning of the season, Sorex would like always get above 10k damage, and then towards the end we were like scrimming Stacked, and after we were done with that map, he would like rage quit and come back after
Alright,
10
okay, we
minutes.
get it.
Okay, because
get it.
Quintosh,
It's
rather
bad,
than
we
talking
get
about
it.
That's not what
Sorex,
happened.
rather than talking about
Yeah,
Sorex, can you make your
No.
case for Atomic? Can you say, why you feel he would have been better for the Scout of the season? I mean, I know from
his
watching the
final
final.
performance.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
all
his
I have to
performance in
say.
the final on Reservoir was great. But outside of that, like over the course of the season,
He's a consistent player. He's like, I don't know, you can't really, head to head is a different thing, especially against the scout that plays a lot with the heals. I think he's a really passive scout and he knows when to go aggressive. He calls a lot for the flank and
Yeah.
he knows where the players are. He knows where his team is and he knows how to play off of them. He wouldn't like run in and do some stupid shit and just die.
Yeah, he's like a pretty smart scout in my opinion. Probably he knows, like in game sense wise, he's probably one of the best scouts out there.
To be fair, on the consistency comment, Atomic did go something like 5 for 30 in the gravel pit mat, so that balances out
What can you do? Like,
the reservoir thing. So, I mean, if you're just going to cite one log to show that he's amazing, the one from the match directly before it, where it was the complete opposite, shouldn't go unmentioned.
what can you do as a scout on gravel pit? You can do nothing.
But what
you
can
can do
you
it
do
a
as
lot.
a
Get shut
scout
down,
on
it's a
reservoir?
different thing.
It's like the exact opposite.
Yeah, but you can get shut down. You can get shut down
I
by
think we need
minis.
some
You can
love
get
for
shut down
Jason,
by
man.
soldiers. You can get shut down by heavies. Anything can kill you. But on a map like gravel pit, there's just the whole team watching you and trying to kill you.
I'm going to move on to Nursey. Nursey, you give some love for Juso coming in third place. Well, I think he did a stellar job over the course of the season. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but was it Juso that got the cleaver drop on Gullywash?
I think so. Because
Yeah.
Kuchso was running Cleaver, insane man.
And one of the moments of the season, I think, for me. But I mean, as a scout, how's he like to play with?
He's really fun to play with. He's like a really great guy to hang out with. Mumble. He's probably one of my favorite people on the team just to like hear talk. Juso is really funny. I really like being around Juso, and Juso was always a great scout. Like I remember when I first joined Prem Tech, my first initial thought was probably like when it's what like most people in Prem probably think of North American Highlander. My initial thought going into Prem was this is probably going to be a joke. But then when I saw how Prem Tech was playing, I saw Juso and I saw Cobbs, and I was thinking to myself, oh wow, these people actually like know how to play a video game. This is actually going to be fun. So like playing Juso has been really great. So I'm going to blame this rigged voting system where Juso only got 16% of the vote.
I mean, to be fair, it's pretty even spread of the votes. I mean, 300, 233 and 103. So it's kind of, there's equal spacing between the three scouts. But yeah, I'm going to move on now before any more drama kicks off. I'm sure there's plenty of drama for the other classes. So he was Sorex for Stacked was Scout of the Season with 47% of the votes. Moving on to Soldier now.
90%.
And in third place for Soldier with 6% of the vote was Damn Easy for Team Stacked.
Aww.
In second place is with 24% of the vote was Zoob for High Panda, and in first place, a mile away, 69.77% of the vote was Shadowburn.
Well deserved.
Shadowburn for me, just an amazing soldier, and he showed that in the final. Going to come straight to you, Nursey. Nursey, you were talking about Shadowburn earlier, and his determination towards the end of the season. What's he like to play with? Like
He's something like, he was like definitely the best soldier I've ever played with, like ever. He is really really good, and he was. It's pretty obvious to a lot of people. He was definitely a big factor for Prem Tech on why we do well most of the time. Officials. The only thing I didn't like was how Shadowburn wouldn't make PCWs until come match day, but apparently that's just how Shadowburn rolls or something. But Shadowburn he didn't show much of a personality because he was just generally quiet most of the time, but he was definitely a great soldier, and his conch in Black Box, like during our grand final, he just wanted us to pop Uber and then re-push the conch. He said treat conch like it was a second Uber. I think it was going pretty well most of the time.
yeah, it seemed to work really well on Gullywash, and especially on our gravel pit where you guys dominated in that final on that map against Chess Club. He held that roof just insanely well. I'm going to go over to Hildreth. You were talking about Zoob having struggles against Shadowburn on gravel pit. Do you want to touch on that and maybe talk about how good of a player that Zoob is, despite coming in second place?
Oh yeah, well, for seasons and seasons, for years and years in Highlander, Zoob has been the best soldier, no question, even since season 1, to be honest. But this is probably the first season where I've seen a person play better than Zoob. I mean, Mookie was close last season, I have to say. Shadowburn definitely deserved the awards.
I heard you asked Pamzilla to soldier for you before you talked to Soup.
Before, because Zoob's a very quiet person. So, like, trying to talk to him is a bit of a task in itself. Like, I'll message him stuff, and he just won't respond for about 5 days. So I did ask Perm at one point he was considering, but when Zoob said yes, this was when we just first formed the team. There was no question where to go from there. But yeah, that's history. Shadowburn definitely deserves the award. He's just played so well this season. When I first saw him play last season, he was a bit raw, a bit new to the format, but he's had some time to get used to it and sort of make his own style and play his game, and he's just been really effective. And he is just a really good player. For Zoob, he just, because he's played for so long, he has his own game that he plays. Still very effective at playing his game, but Shadowburn just brought something new. I think underrated soldier was Ubers this season. He was very underrated. Hearts, even though people talk about the Beggar's Bazooka, he was pretty effective for his team
Fuck
as
that
well.
thing.
I have to say, he did get his job done, but all round
You're saying
he's
fuck
just...
that thing when your own team in
Do
UGC
not
uses
interrupt
it.
me, quintosh.
Listen, I
You
don't
get your
support
turn.
it.
You get your turn.
I-
Come on.
Alright, sorry.
CeeJaey, you
one
gotta
person,
control these
one
kids.
person at a time. Quintosh, you need to chill yourself, dude. We're gonna come to you. We're gonna come to you. All right, Quintosh, I will ask you. People were mentioning about Hearts and Ubers. I think was a fair shout there for me. Very underrated in the final. He did so much work against Shadowburn for Shadowburn to come away with practically 70% of the vote, and Ubers not even get a mention. On your team, Ubers, do you think he should have been in the top 3? For some, Damn Easy was a bit of a surprise. He did get 41 votes, but only 6%. Do you think Ubers should be in the top 3?
Definitely he should be, but like no one knows him. It's his second Highlander season as a soldier, and in 6v6 he has never been like the big boy either. Like he's really underrated. No one knows who he is, and he still pulled a good performance in the finals. He's a really great player. He plays really fucking good next to Atomic. And if not for Shadowburn, it should have been a closer vote between those two.
Sure, and Beep, Damn Easy on your team, played 2 matches this season and did manage to get a vote. I do remember, I think it was casting one game where he top frag, top damage perhaps on a Gully Wash game. Maybe I'm making up, I'm not sure, but I seem to remember it. Good enough to be in 3rd place? Do you think it should have been higher, lower, not there?
I mean, you know, all the Prem players were asked to vote. I can't really say for his legitimacy in the awards and of the nominations. I think he did really well for what he played. It was slightly shocking that he got nominated, considering that he only played 1, or was it just 1 or 2 games? So
yeah, it's a troll vote.
yeah, I think it's he's there with me in the awards show. But he did really well when he played with us. He filled in for F2 when F2 was off volunteering. So he did us a good turn. He played well when he had to, so all the best to him. But I do think that Shadowburn was the standout player of the season for all teams, so definitely beats in that category, I think.
So it seems pretty much everyone's agreed. Shadowburn Soldier of the season, pretty much rolling there with 70% of the vote, and he's actually in another couple of votes later on. He is up for Prem debut of the season and player of the season. So we'll see if he manages to place in any of those. Moving on to Pyro now, and this one fairly close. Coming up in 3rd place with 24.8% of the vote was Ascendery. In 2nd place with 28.45% of the vote was Beep.
Good.
And in 1st place was 46.7% of the vote. Of course, it's Steve Panda of High Panda. Beep, I'm going to come to you. Disappointed that you've come 2nd, or are you relieved?
I think that for me, Ascendry was the best pyro of the season. And I just pasted in the Twitch chat. Again, I looked at the head-to-heads. I know pyro's useless to look at, but Ascendry topping the list with 42 frags for 4 pyro kills. Steve 41 with 5 pyro kills, and me with 32 with 3 pyro kills. I was slightly surprised that Steve got the vote, but he would have the popular vote, I think, because people remember him. Last season, he was definitely like the best pyro by miles. this season didn't really stick out, I thought. So I was shocked that Ascendry didn't take it, but good for Steve, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, Steve is obviously probably the most well-known, and we can't forget that Highlander did do really well during the season. So this is, I mean, a lot of people forget about the regular season once the playoffs are over. Hildreth, do you think Steve did as much work for you guys over this season as he did in previous seasons? Or, you know, do you think he's deserving, or do you think Ascendry maybe should have won?
Steve's the best. Let's just move on. That's all I can say. Well, you can't really compare. I was hearing something about Pyro head-to-head because that makes a player. Just to put it into perspective, Steve played that playoff against Premtech with 180 ping, and he still got the better statistics than Ascendry, so he's just the best Pyro, probably in TF2. This season, I wouldn't say he underperformed at all. He even told me after the game he just felt so helpless against Premtech. He certainly wasn't the reason why we lost. He was one of our best players. So I think it's a very deserved award.
Nursey, Ascendry coming in third place. For me, he was, again, one of the standout Pyros of the season, up there with Steve. Probably maybe he should have been closer according to some people's opinions. Ascendry, what's he? I know Ascendry very well, but what's he was like to play with over the course of the season? Do you think he should have won?
He was during the beginning of the season, he was like like, to be honest, like he wasn't like one of the Pyros. Like, I didn't think he was terrible, but he wasn't a Pyro I thought like, wow, he's the best Pyro I play with. But again, I also play with Satan in North America, so. But during as the season progressed, Ascendry got like a lot better. Like, I know during playoffs, Ascendry was a lot better to play with. Like, I think after like 4 or 5 weeks of playing Ascendry, actually, like, I looked forward to playing with Ascendry a lot more. It was like he started not dying to them situations. He always seemed to be ready to do what I've been trying to tell him to do. I don't know how to really describe that. It's just he really improved a lot as the season went on. I really looked forward to playing him is when the playoffs kicked in.
Okay, so I mean, well, I'm just gonna make a note here. Going on to our demo vote now. Soldier, Pyro, and Demo, we haven't actually had any chess club players, which for me surprises me a bit. I mean, you guys had a really strong roster. You obviously won over the course of the season, but not having any players in those 3 votes at the moment. So I'm going to go on to demo, and the demo vote quite evenly spread out, but it's fairly close between the top 2. Coming in third place with 14% of the vote was Maito for Premtech. In second place with 37.2% of the vote for Stacked was Dr. Phil. And in first place is our very own Hildreth with 48.7% of the vote. So congratulations, Hildreth. You are demo of the season.
Cool. I didn't realise I was won. That's pretty good. I don't think this is probably one of my worst seasons. I think I deserved it more last season, or even the season before that. I think maybe it's just a lack of competition this season in terms of standout players, standout names, because I actually think Dr. Phil did really well for Stacked. Meitu was pretty underrated. He really started to perform towards the end of the season. Quintosh, buddy. I'm just sad he didn't get nominated.
I didn't even play Demo in the final.
Yeah.
Huey
Demo
played,
nerfs.
said, but he played 1 game, so.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know.
maybe a bit of a surprise, because I think Quintosh, he did really well as demo over the course of the season, and Bulo made some good, interesting points about the style that Chess Club played, and your kind of more roaming style as a demo. As another demo playing over the course of the season, do you agree with that top 3?
Hildreth said that he deserved the award last season more than this season, and I completely agree. But other than that, I think it's fine. Like, you can't really judge when a team runs 2 demos in the season. It's kind of different.
I mean, yeah, I just want to echo that. I think Hildreth deserved it last season. I think maybe the more popular, well-known names came into it last season. You did come MVP last season, though, Hildreth, I think,
That's
if I remember correctly.
That's because we won mainly, and a lot of people put it down to just me yelling at people. seems to be my thing. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it would have been really close this season anyway. But I think it's probably more my name that stands out than my performance, because I didn't feel like I played very well this season, especially in the big games. So that's all I can really comment on it.
Well, congratulations either way. Beep. Dr. Phil only came in. It was exactly 70 votes in behind Hildreth. How do you feel he played over the course of the season? Were you surprised? Because obviously you played with Hui as your demo for season 6. So he was kind of new this season.
Yeah, I think that Phil did really well for us this season. The last time he played with us was season 5 in Division 1. And for that season, we had Admirable, and he did the main calling and essentially micromanaged the team. He did that the following season, but he was our demo because Phil didn't really want to play much Highlander. So for Phil, he took a season off stacked, and he got landed back in without Admirable's micromanagement kind of main calling. And Phil kind of had to do a bit with Hildreth does kind of main call as well as play demo man. And I think like kind of just being that's his first season of doing that with us in Highlander. He did really well. He put out nice damage. He made good calls. He got good frags and was like he always showed up to scrims and everything. So I think number 2, yeah, he did a good job.
All right, good to hear. So we'll move on to heavy now. And there's actually 4 players in this vote. This is a spreadsheet that's been given to me by Caltu, and this has been filled in with the results. So coming in 4th place with 0% of the votes and 0% is Caltu.
Alright.
Caltu officially not a single vote. I'm not sure if we're even up for votes. But you know the names. I'm just reading the names off the list, guys. Seriously, now going on to 3rd place with 17.1% of the vote was Kresnik from Premtech. Coming into 2nd place with 20.7% of the vote was Pidox from Highlander, and in 1st place, miles ahead, on 62.10% of the vote was Breakfast Junior. Congrats to Breakfast Junior. Sprayer, what was it like healing him over the course of the season?
Well, basically, give him more than 40% of heals and you win. Easy choice. And quintosh was roaming, so it wasn't really a challenge at the start.
Can I
Then-
ask a quick question about that? You gave Breakfast so many heals. Did that mean Quintosh roamed because he kind of had to, because he wouldn't have gotten the normal healing the demo gets,
Like
or is that just a stat?
normally like quintosh kind of plays. It depends really on the map, because on payload maps we obviously need the demo that much, but on 5CP and King of the Hill I gave quintosh some buffs, but he didn't need much. Like I like quintosh that he doesn't demand much heals. And I could just tank it on Breakfast, and when Breakfast tanks the heals, he can kill everyone. Like he'll be like 50 HP after the exchange, but he'll destroy everyone.
I mean, a lot of the players over the course of the season, and obviously the casters, we all did notice how much work Breakfast Junior did do. I think he kind of first stood out. You know, he joined you guys halfway through season 6. And then, especially in the Nations Cup, the Highlander Nations Cup for England, we did see some good plays from him for England. And then this season, he's just been this kind of dominating force. And I don't think he's going to really argue over who, you know, he's up for Player of the Season as well. So he's in for another vote. He did so much work. Does everyone else have anything to add to that? Do you guys, anyone you think could, you know, be there instead of Breakfast?
I think if Kresnik didn't have 100 ping, he'd probably be up there. But like, I thought Breakfast was only a good heavy because he got so many heals. But I remember he ranked for something for us over the European tournament. He ranked for us during one of our PCWs against I don't remember who, but I thought Breakfast was only a good heavy because of his heals. And I didn't heal Breakfast. Like I'm not like a heavy heal type of medic, but I guess that doesn't. I did that during our grand final because I'm an idiot. But when Breakfast ranked for us, he doesn't need to have a lot of heals to be a good heavy. Breakfast is actually like a very, very good heavy without heals. I think Breakfast was by far definitely the best heavy. in all of Prem. He was really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the toss up between, is he a player that is good because like he needs heals to be good, or is he just good, therefore you give him a lot of heals to allow him to do as much work as possible?
Well, think about this.
I think it's the latter.
If like, it's like the same reason why in North America you would give patio eye heals, I guess. It's like, you know the player is good, so how good would they be if you gave them like heals as well, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah, I have to say about Breakfast Junior, I've played with him. First of all, it was with Team England. I wasn't actually thinking he would be the heavy because there was a couple other people I was thinking of. But then when we played with him, he was just so good. He just stood out so much. Now the whole thing about heals is, I mean, I've heard this argument so many times. There's so many heavies like Arthur that used to be a heal hog, and then I played with him in TS, and I didn't heal him anywhere near as much, but he still performed really well. And Breakfast is the same player in Team England. I didn't heal him nearly as much as I healed Joe, and Breakfast still manages to stand out. He's that good a player. He can play any role. He's obviously one of chess's best players, so for them not to utilize him would be silly. So deserve the reward. And anyone that says, "Oh, he gets 40% of the heals," is just an idiot. I have to say. Sorry.
He didn't even get that many heals towards the end. It was like only between the update and between where we got Huey, and after that it was like back to normal. Like heavy maybe 24%, demo 16%, and the rest is just kind of split up. And he still did. He still did his top one heavy performance.
I think that Breakfast was definitely the best heavy, and I think he is quite a bit ahead of the other European heavies. But I was slightly shocked that this is one of the only categories Stack don't have a player. CeeJaey came from like Division 3, I think, into Prem, and I was talking to Breakfast about the heavies in European TF2 the other day, as you do, and he was shocked as well that CeeJaey didn't really get many votes. He's a very quiet Frenchie from a last season, like a Div 3 team, so no one really knows him, but I think he did pretty well, and it's worth kind of mentioning him in that conversation in terms of top heavies.
Yeah, I have to say, I think in terms of the other nominees, Pidox, I know he's on my team, but Pidox wasn't the same player this season than he was last season. And I think there's something about lack of motivation. He wasn't turning up to nearly as many practices. But I didn't really see too much of CeeJaey, so I can't really judge on him. Kresnik, I saw a lot of Kresnik. He came into the scene from North America. I can't really, because Breakfast Junior stood out so much, I can't really rate Kresnik. It's kind of hard to say.
Well, like I said, I think Bobby probably would have been the best if he didn't stick with 130 ping. Like, to be honest, but I think that might be biased because I also play in K&D with Kresnik.
I have a question. Like, how did actually Kresnik play in North America against other heavies? Like, it's interesting.
In K&D, where we play a lot around Jarrett, like, or who's our demo. We play around Jarrett, and Bobby is a demo supporter. Like, Bobby doesn't like taking heals, but he also loves supporting his demo. So basically, Bobby is the type of heavy, he won't ever he won't ever try to take the sounds you hear in the background, my dog who's like whimpering for something, I don't know. But Bobby is the type of heavy who loves catching out players that are trying to bomb onto me or try to get onto our demo. So Bobby is just more the type of heavy who tries to catch people out.
He's a classic North American heavy.
Yeah,
that's how I describe him.
He also plays a lot around Ubers. Like, Bobby hates being Ubered, so he's also our main focus on how we usually destroy the enemy's Ubers. Like, Bobby is pretty good at catching people out. That's like, just think of him as like a sentry, pretty much. Like all Bobby is.
Okay, so I think everyone seems pretty much agreed there that Breakfast Junior kind of deserved a huge lead on the heavy vote. So congrats to Breakfast Junior for winning heavy of the season. Moving on to engineer. Probably not like the most fancy class, so maybe a bit awkward to vote for. But coming up in third place with 25.2% of the vote was Cherry Rendezvous for Team Voodoo. In second place with 34.2% of the vote is Cobbs for Premtech, meaning
Oh my
again
God.
somebody in this mumble has won with 40.6% of the vote. It's
Lemau.
Quintosh, who played one match as engineer and has been voted engineer of the season. Quintosh, congrats. How do you
Okay.
feel in this moment?
I don't know. It feels
I'm a
kind of
bullet.
fine, but all right, okay. I know I've only played one match, but throughout the season I've been pretty consistent as demo, so it kind of makes up for it, even though it was just one game.
I'm sorry, but you can't play one game and deserve to win awards for it. I mean, yes, it was a final. Yes, your team won, but won your engine. It's just one match. I mean, he didn't play badly in the match. He played pretty well, but I'll just have to say they're more deserving players. I think Cobbs' performances throughout the season certainly deserves it. I didn't see much of Cherry. I mean, for it to be an engineer to stand out, you have to be pretty special. Mint is one of my big surprises in terms of how well he didn't do. So there's certainly a lot to talk about Mint, but I think Cobbs deserves it personally.
I mean, yeah, for me, I voted for Cobbs. He did give me shout-outs during the final for some reason. I have no idea why. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple of moments over the season that I've remembered. One in the final when it was kind of like the dying seconds of Reservoir when Cheska were 2-0 up. You'd pretty much won, and I think it was essentially in the bag. And then there was Cobbs on the bottom of the point with a level 3. Somehow had built it out of nowhere and was just trying to single-handedly take back the point. I just think there was moments like that that stood out for me. Out of the two, Cobbs and Cherry, if you want to ignore Quintosh for a second, sorry, Quintosh. You've said Cobbs, Hildreth. Does anyone else agree with that, or would you go for Cherry? I mean, Cherry played for a team that finished bottom and didn't actually win a game of the season. So for him to be nominated by players, it's an achievement in itself to stand out in a team that's obviously struggled against the rest of the team. I mean, Beep, to start with, what do you think?
Well, I'm just kind of wondering, was this the first year where Prem players could nominate people who had played only one match or no matches? Because I remember at least season 5 in IRC, you were being told that people aren't eligible to vote for. So is this the first season where like Quintosh could actually be nominated for that? Because it used to be like you had to play 3 games.
I'm not exactly sure. All I know is that it was Prem players and casters that were asked
Yeah,
to
well,
nominate. I think it was just kind of looked over. Anyone that wasn't eligible, I guess, was removed. And I suppose Quintosh was seen as eligible, seeing as he had played engineer over the course of the season.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, engineer, don't
Didn't
really
I play NG
know what's
for
going on.
Premtech as well? I think I've played one game. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Were you the person making the weird springing noise in Mumble, or was that some?
Yeah, that's
Classic Quintosh.
I don't know where it is. Alright, hold on.
Alright, I should.
He went
Right,
to our
okay.
Mumble. and
Moving
that's all
on
he
from the
did.
springing chat, moving on from the crazy sounds. Hildreth, Nursey, between Cobbs and Cherry, who do you think out of those two guys, if we're ignoring Quintosh or anyone else? Hildreth did mention Mint about how he was surprised about how he didn't do so well this season. Any other engineers that stood out for you over the course of the season?
I definitely have to mention my teammate Nigel. I actually think Nugent deserved to be nominated this season. He doesn't get to stand out because he's an engineer. He performed pretty well. Wouldn't say he was the best though. It's hard to say. Banana Man as well was actually pretty good for chess on CoF 5 CP maps.
Yeah.
But I don't really know the inner workings of why he got dropped, so I can't really comment on that. But Cobbs is the deserved winner, definitely.
It sucks because from a medic point of view, you don't really get to see what engineers do or how great an engineer is. Because like, throughout the entire season, I never felt like, oh man, this engineer sure is amazing. I never felt that throughout the entire time. Like the only time like I remember an engineer made an impact on me was literally Quintosh in the grand final where he killed me only 2 times during our Goya Wash match. It was the only time that I remember like, and I think about an engineer, and I really think And one reason I would say Cobbs deserves it is like the same reason why I think Juso is amazing, because like when I first played in Prem, I was really impressed by Cobbs and Juso.
I was really impressed by CeeJaey, to be honest. Like, when at the start of the season, Voodoo were actually doing pretty well, and they finished quite high in the Invitational Cup. And CeeJaey was probably one of the NGs, when we played Steel at least, he was pretty annoying. Like, he was an offense, he was trying to get med picks, he was forcing quite often, and his deathmatch is extremely good compared to any other NG out there.
Yeah, Voodoo's fate is like really unfortunate because Nuki is a bad leader and kind of everyone wanted to play.
Less of the
everyone-
drama,
everyone-
Quintosh, keep it on the
Everyone wanted to
place.
play in their team, and they were like really successful beating really good teams. And I think the placement on the TV Cup speaks for itself. But no, they just kind of gave up at the beginning of the season.
I mean, towards the end of the season, their last 2 games were actually default losses. But I do remember at the start of the season, there was kind of some, not hype, but maybe some promise from Voodoo. And CeeJaey was one player that did stand out in a couple of maps that I watched or casted as someone who did seem to have some quite good DMs. So, I mean, people have remembered at least towards the end of the season, and he's got the nomination. And he did pick up, 25% of the vote, which is very good in itself. But we move on now. So congrats to Quintosh, who is the engineer of the season. We're on to Medic now, and we have a nominee in here. And right, we're going to start with, in 3rd place, it's Asa Dwarf. I'm just going to call him Asa. With 26.6% of the vote. It's quite close, to be fair, these votes. In 2nd place, I'm afraid, Nursey, it is you with 30.5% of the vote, which means the winner, Medic of the season, is Kisakala
Oh my
with
god.
42.9% of the vote. So commiserations, Nursey. I'll come to you in a minute, but Hildreth, you've been shit talking Kisakala for a little bit in cast
I'm pretty
during this
disgusted.
award show.
Pretty disgusted.
You're disgusted by your teammate winning. There.
Terribly. The vote Kisakala is like a cop out. It's like voting Bulo for Medic of the season. Actually, to be fair to Kisakala, I do give him a lot of crap, but I think he's a better player than Asa, so I'll give him that much. But I think Nursey is the deserved winner. It's mainly because of I get to play with Kisakala all season, and in fact I played with him solidly for like a couple of years now. So as Medic in 6s as well.
I mean, it's your job as a team leader and his demo to kind of see his faults. But he's obviously must be good enough to play for Highlander. So if you're allowing him in the team, there must be some qualities there.
Well, we had a couple of choices to replace Fool at the end of the season, and because we played with Kissa before as backup medic, and we played 6s with him, it seemed he felt like a natural choice, and he does have a lot of good movement skills, and he's got a little bit of technique about his dodging, that sort of thing. But there's I think his biggest weakness is just his general positioning is a bit off. He did get better over the season, I felt, but I don't think he was as good as Nursey. Nursey just feels like a natural medic main, while Kissa played scout last season with us when we won. So
Nursey, sorry, how does it feel?
I feel like I got 2nd place again.
I mean, do you, maybe to boost your ego a little bit, did you feel you were the best medic of the season, playing against all the other medics, the way you performed? I'm sure you got an Ubersaw kill on another medic in this channel in the grand final.
To be fair, during one of our gravel pit matches, I went 2-1, and both my kills were on a medic during one of our gravel pit matches.
Yeah.
We don't want to mention that map.
Spray, should we ask you as a medic, who do you think, other than yourself, who do you think was medic of the season out of everybody? Maybe not even people in the vote.
I think most of people, like, it's really hard to tell because medics are like, to me, everyone was pretty much the same level. Like, I don't see like anyone was performing really bad or really great individually because it's medic after all. It really depends on the team. I just have to give credit for Nursey for adapting, for playing with 100 ping, for adapting to the new team, and Aston as well for stepping in for stacked in the season and performing surprisingly well as well. So, but like the best, I can't tell because I think everyone is about the same.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
Asa did really well for coming from Division 3 again. So Susie Hard and Asa, they'd only played Division 3 for us and were launched into Prem.
It's a
Asa
different world.
mid-season, and Asa's first game was against Prem Tech on Born Blitz, and he filled in because Overseer just didn't show up the night before, and he did really well. And I think the results are probably right. Actually, Nursey was it was really interesting. Nursey was remarkably tough to kill. It was the positioning. We always found that Premtech were kind of beating us because Nursey always had Uber before us, like that kind of thing. Nursey was something that the only medic in the season that we actually said, look, we need to start killing this fucking medic because the medic isn't dying. And we hadn't said that for any other medic in the season.
That explains Barmulets.
And yeah, we did find though Kissa was possibly the easiest to drop, and we found that was a huge advantage for us in Gravel Pit. It was like just make sure Kissa dies, and
Oh god,
during
I'll
that
never forgive
game,
him.
like we just
That
went
drop.
after him with crits, and he was in a position where like you guys knew we had crits, but he was still within a position where he could be killed to it, whereas we didn't find the other medics would have been in such a position. So I think Asa did really well. I think Nursey
All
probably
he had to
did
do was
deserve to die.
right click.
Exactly,
click.
Hildreth, exactly.
Yes. And then we would have won that round. Because we definitely shouldn't have lost that round, but yeah. Sorry, Beep.
Well, I mean, we won, so I don't know what you're sorry about.
Interrupted you.
Just to say, it was a close vote. The percentages maybe don't reflect it as much. It was 118 votes for Asa, 135 for Nursey, and 190 for Kisa. So all within the 100 to 200 mark. So fairly spread out. Beep, you mentioned Asa a little bit there. You said he just played Div 3 and then jumped into Prem. Is he going to be with you next season? Do you see him as kind of like a key member of the team? Do you think he should have been higher?
Yeah, Asa is again one of these players. Like he replaced, essentially replaced Admirable because Overseer showed up for like 2 weeks and then took herself off. So for him to kind of to fill in as well as he did was great for us because every team will know it's so hard to find a good medic, especially one with a nice personality that gets on well with the team. He's really keen to play as well, so that definitely helps. And he's with us. We're playing UDC as well this season, but we're just showing up the officials pretty much. There's no scrims apart from a warm-up some weeks, and he's playing with us there. So we expect Asa to be with us until he decides to quit.
Okay, cool. We're going to move on to the next area now, I suppose, next class. So congrats to Kisakala for being Medic of the Season. Moving on to Sniper, there's actually 4 people in the vote, and 2 of them for the same team or played for the same team over the course of the season. In 4th place with 14.3% of the vote was Tracker, who played for Chess Club over the season. In 3rd place with 18.18% of the vote was Inso, who played for Kill Switch and Chess Club over the season. In 2nd place with 22.7% is Blood Drunk, which means in 1st place with 44.8% is Premtech Sniper Saini. Nursey, happy for your sniper? Do you agree with that?
I don't know how scary. I never was able to pronounce Tiny's name right, so I'm going to continue calling him Tiny. So,
I mean, there's many different ways. I say Saini. Some people say Tiny.
Everyone says
Hildreth
Saini
says
on our
Tassani.
team, but I call him Tiny because like these languages that are not English, just I don't understand them. But like, I don't know how scary Tiny is to play against, but there was like a lot of times where he goes like huge. Like you could see it. Like I remember like I said earlier, like I hate bringing this up because I sound like a jerk when I do, but like when I came into Prem, and I think Bobby felt the same way too, is that we weren't really expecting a lot. But when we saw CeeJaey, he also played in the plat pugs we were doing last Friday night. He did really well. I think Bobby and I were really impressed by teeny tiny CeeJaey throughout the rigor. I'm more surprised Tracker got 4th. What the heck?
Yeah, I mean, Tracker, it's not very many votes here. The only other one was kind of the troll vote on Heavy, which had Caltu as 4th, but this had 4 different players in the vote. Sprayer, Quintosh, you guys played with both Tracker and Inso over the course of the season. Do you agree that they both should be in there, and should they be higher, and which one?
I think Tracker, he is really keen. He would like cancel the kickboxing to play with us, but he's really inconsistent. And even if you put a lot of heals on him, so he doesn't die like instantly, he's still really inconsistent. On the other hand, Enzo, his spawn blitz match against us when he still played for Killswitch and he got that 20 kill streak, I think that speaks for itself. For the rest of the season, he's also been hitting his shots and he calls a lot. He really contributes a lot, and he was on fire in the grand finals.
Yeah, it feels like Enzo's a very, very smart player. Probably probably a bit smarter than Tracker. But Tracker sometimes he's kind of inconsistent, but sometimes he can go huge. His DM is amazing. However, his positioning is not always good, and his calls sometimes we don't reach them. But I'm really surprised that Promella wasn't mentioned, although he was probably at the start of the season he was performing amazingly. Nobody could contest him, in my opinion.
I don't even. What team was Promella on? I feel mean for
Highlander.
asking that, but hype.
Hildreth,
just
any
didn't
comments
play.
on Framello's omission from the vote? Do you think he should have been there?
Yeah, probably should have won, to be honest. He's clearly the best sniper. But the thing is, he wasn't around when we needed him to play, and we just didn't play with him. We got Blood Drunk to Merc, and I think Blood Drunk sniped pretty well.
Bundring's pretty good.
But from Froblemo or Froblem, however he started his name as Froblem and then he turned his name to Frolemo or something silly like that. These Polish people. He was the best sniper in the league, but he didn't put the performances in, so he probably doesn't deserve the prize. I'd say that he didn't put the performances in. He always put the performances in. He just didn't play in the key matches, which is probably our fault. But if you want a bit of gossip, he will be back next season. So
Yeah, right.
You touched on Blood Drunk a second there, and there's no one here from his team. He played for Fair Enough, one of the few players from Fair Enough to actually be in these votes. He came in second, and he played for yourself, Hildreth. He played for High Panda in the playoffs against Bremtech, and Nursey. I believe there was rumor of him actually murking in the final if CeeJaey was unavailable. There was something in the match comms about that.
Wait, who?
So obviously, Blood Drunk.
Oh, that sounds
So-
like because Bundring usually mercs or whatever for us whenever CeeJaey's gone.
So Hildreth, you obviously counted on him to play in a very important match. How was he to play
Yeah.
against everyone else?
Blood Drunk, because when we played Fair Enough, it was fairly one-sided, so I didn't really notice him that much. Playing with him, I was quite impressed. I thought it was pretty good. Definitely up there. It's one of the best. But I don't know. I don't think he would deserve the Sniper of the Season award. Blood Drunk, though he did have a very good season. I think CeeJaey actually deserves it. Or Tiny.
Of all the snipers that we had ring for us on Premtech, Bundring was my favorite. He didn't hit many impressive shots, but he always knew where to position himself. Out of all the snipers we had on Premtech, I think he was the only sniper we have ever had that actually knew where to stand. CeeJaey just CeeJaey is really good at hitting his shots, and I really like that. But CeeJaey has this problem where he'll run away and he'll just try to hit as many stupid shots as he possibly can, which is a big issue for our team a majority of the time, because there's been times where I would yell at CeeJaey to like come follow me, and he just kind of like stands there and takes 5 shots. He's like, I'm coming.
We've talked a lot about the other guys. I mean, what about CeeJaey, like, in general? I mean, he missed the first half of the season. I think he was still in the army at that point, and he started in week 4. And
He
then
got
from
banned.
then, and he did, get banned for not providing demos.
He was away.
He was away on a little vacation. But so he came in, and during the regular season, sort of picked up steam, and I think in the playoffs, along with Shadowburn, just kind of came to light as probably one of the star players for Premtech. I'm sure Beep's got his stats there, which would probably be best for Sniper, about sniper on sniper, I don't know, kills and kind of duels and stuff like that. CeeJaey, for me in the final, just seemed to be having kind of everyone's number on positions and everything. He just seemed to be really stand out for me over the course of the playoffs. Does everyone agree that he is the final? And Beep, do you have any stats to give us?
I actually don't have stats for this one because not everyone met everyone. So you can't really do it. It wouldn't be fair.
All right.
But I think I agree with that order of those 4. But I was surprised that Framello and Ruhe weren't in the vote, because I think in every match, like official match, but one map against Premtech, Ruhe had more headshots than the other sniper, and it was more consistent and did well in every game, but he didn't really get any nominations. Tracker for me was best when he was with us, and when we beat out Chess Club in the season 12 final, and when we were in Div 1, Tracker was very, very consistent and like pretty much always top fragged. But then once he rage quit after losing week 1 game in season 6, he went very downhill, I thought. And one game you would play him and he would be shit. The next you would play him and he would top frag. So I would agree that he would be 4th on that list, but I don't really agree with the list.
I think Rui, Tracker, and Bloodjung, they just take every single shot they get. They don't like prioritize players. They don't charge a shot and kill a heavy, which is more important than trying to kill an NG spamming AD and crouch against you. I think these 3 all had issues prioritizing.
We didn't mention much about Inso, to be fair. I kind of forget about Inso because I tend to ignore everything he says. But he did pretty well, I have to say. I think for chess he did well. When I saw him for kill switch, it wasn't overly impressive. I mean, I didn't see him in some of the other games, but against us he wasn't. But he definitely turned up in the final.
Okay, so congrats to CeeJaey for winning Sniper of the Season there. Moving on to Spy, and this is a very, very close vote actually. So Spy of the Season in 3rd place for Team Stacked was Hard with 27.4% of the vote. In 2nd place with 33.7% of the vote was Granger Bob for Killswitch. Hi Panda. And in 1st place for Premtech with 39% of the vote was Polar Bear. Guys, Beep, I'm going to
Congrats.
come to you first about Hard. Do you feel he should be at the top or what?
Absolutely. For sure the best spy this season. Like without, just beyond a shadow of a doubt, his positioning. He wasn't just like a gun spy, even though EMG's like a nerd for about 3 hours every day. He stabbed everyone like fuck, including trick stabbing Quintosh a few times in our official against him. And he did really, really well. He was consistent. He always did better than the other spy. And you can see from the stats, he topped with 99 kills with 9 spy kills, then Polar Bear 88 with 9 spy kills, and then Granger Bob was 31 with
9
2
spy
spy
kills. What?
So, I mean,
Is this guy for real?
Hard was so consistent and focused combos in every game, and I am very, very shocked that he didn't win. I think this is a bit of a case of like when last year Sorex didn't win the Lazy Bear. Hard again is very unpopular, so he came 3rd because he definitely was the spy of the season for sure.
Hildreth, I'm gonna come to you before Quintosh. Gonna come to you in a minute. Hildreth, Granger Bob, he came in for you this season after Solid, I think, was unable to play or decided not to play for you after last season. And did he fill the role that you needed? Did he meet up to expectations?
I think Granger had a pretty good season. In the game against Premtech, him and Steve had this huge internet problem, so he didn't bring his best to that game, unfortunately. I wouldn't really say he was the spy of the season, but Granger Bob had a pretty good season overall. He certainly wasn't the reason we lost. I think it comes down to hard versus polar bear. It's really forgive the pun, hard to decide, because on the one hand, hard had put in many outstanding performances for Stacked and was really I'd like to use the term carry, but the game against Gravelby he really stood out for them. I wouldn't say he carried you guys, but he stood out. But on the other hand, Polar Bear really performed in the playoffs.
Ambassador.
So it's really difficult to sort of decide between them of who's the best. But I think I could live with Polar Bear being spy this season.
We've got your approval then, Hildreth. We've got your approval.
Harsh should have probably gotten second. Like, out of every spy in Europe, like I thought it was a joke when people would tell me that old spies in Europe like to do is just take out the revolver and shoot people. But
you never played against Inso or Solid. So
then when I'm playing a Prem, it happens like no spy I've ever seen this entire season actually actively do that, like revolver stuff that I've never seen that like ever work. Like, at least against me, it never worked. So like when I played against Hard and I was actually getting backstab, I was like, whoa, that's not a gun. It was very like Hard is definitely was like the most annoying spy to play against, at least for me.
About Polar Bear, he is obviously on your team. You know, in the playoffs, definitely he did stand out. There were a couple of moments on Gravel Pit where he was on insane kill streaks with just the headshots with the Ambassador. I think Hildreth mentioned Inso and Solid. They were the two best spies Highlander season 6. They were famous for their Ambassador plays, and I haven't seen that much this season. I think Granger Bob's more of the kind of traditional spy from what I've seen. And Hard is very much like Kazul, perhaps, where he does the hassling job and gets a lot of revolver picks. And again, Polar Bear is probably the closest to Inso or Solid with the Ambassador. I mean, what was it like playing with him?
Poor knows how to play spy pretty well. Like his comms and spy were really good. He would calm everything that was pretty much necessary for spy to calm. So I really like it. I really like spy comms. I think they're really underrated for a lot of teams. So Poor making a lot of spy comms, I appreciate a lot. And I think one time we had a Vidoc scrim where this is the first time I played with Poor. So one time we had this Vidoc scrim and he went on a 15 kill streak with the Ambassador. And I was like, holy shit. I was very shocked by how well Poor is, especially with the Ambassador. I didn't see him really go for backsubs a lot, but his Ambassador name was pretty sick that I didn't really mind him just being things.
You didn't see Inson Spy?
Never seen the Inson Spy?
Yeah, you would be no words. Last season, Inso just did insanely. No match.
Yeah, you're lucky you didn't get to play against him, so.
Yeah. So I've gotten third, Hildreth got.
Oh wow. We should have got Solid back. What I said when we lost the season 5 final with Snow on Spy, I said to my team, we need to get an Ambassador faggot spy, and so we recruited Solid, and then we won. So that is secret to success.
Is that a hint for next season, Hildreth? Are you going to want another Ambassador spy to take back the title?
Nah, I don't think Granger Bob can play anything else. To be fair, Granger Bob didn't underperform at all. If he had underperformed, then maybe I could have asked Solid to come back, but he played pretty good overall, so you can't really comment.
I was also a bit surprised that Carlozzo didn't get in. I thought he was really a really good spy force during the season. Of course, he merked for Premtech against Stacked in week 2 on Barn Blitz, and it wasn't really that he was picking people off and stuff is more his coordination with his team. I think if they had not used Carlozzo, the result could have been different. Carlozzo
That's actually
really
true,
did.
yeah. Carlozzo
he
was
did
pretty good.
such a great job, and I was surprised not to see him in the vote. But probably next season we'll be seeing him.
Probably the same sort of effect we saw with Cherry on Engineer, playing for a team that perhaps wasn't featured in the playoffs and was towards the bottom of the table. Maybe didn't get quite as much exposure, get quite as much success. Quintosh, I'm sure you're itching to say something. But what's your feeling on the top three spies of the season? Do you agree with Polar Bear being top?
I guess the others have said most things already. I agree how it should be somewhere closer to the top two. Not top two. Polar Bear is like, he did what he had to do in the matches that mattered, and Hart just didn't. That's all I have to say. It's a well-deserved award, Polar.
Okay, cool. So we're going to move on now. So that's all the class awards done. So just to do a little recap, I guess, for anyone who's joining late, Scout of the season was Sorex from Team Stacked. Soldier of the season was Shadowburn from Premtech. Pyro of the season from High Panda, it was Steve Panda. Demo of the season, again from High Panda, was Hildreth. Heavy of the season from Chess Club was Breakfast Junior. Engineer of the season was Quintosh from Team Chess Club. Medic of the season, again from High Panda, and this was Kisakala. Sniper of the season, another Premtech one, was CeeJaey. And Spy of the season, Premtech again, and that was Polar Bear. So I guess that is your lineup of the season, guys. And we're going to move on to some more awards now. There's 3 more to go. The next is the Premiership Debut Award. So makes kind of the title says it all, Premiership Debut. Players to be playing in Prem for the first time. In third place for Premiership Debut with 13.5% of the vote is Asadorf, Medic for Stacked. In second place for Premtech with 34.4% of the vote was CeeJaey, which means in first place with 52.10% of the vote for Premtech also it's Shadowburn. Shadowburn second title was Soldier of the season. There's also the best Premiership debut of the season, probably justified. Sprayer, not Sprayer, Nursey. Again, do you think that's, it's between the two players there, the top 2 played for your team, Shadowburn and CeeJaey. Who do you think was the best of the season?
I don't know. To be honest,
I'm gonna make you decide live. Come on.
Like, honestly, like, I want to say CeeJaey probably deserves it more because, Shadowburn, he probably got the best popularity. Like, obviously, he was, like, a lot of people expected him to do insane, and he's a Prem 6's player, so I think CeeJaey kind of deserved it because I think this is CeeJaey's, debut, obviously, and CeeJaey did a lot for his first season in Prem. I think CeeJaey deserves it more. Like, Shadowburn also did a lot, but I think just, like, simply because CeeJaey's like not nearly as experienced as Shadowburn and stuff when it comes down to playing TF2. I think CeeJaey probably should have been there for Shadowburn.
Well,
I'm gonna go to Beep, sorry, and just talk about
Okay.
Asa. Talk about him, like third place. I mean, he did well to come in from, like you said, from Division 3 to come into him. I think, in my personal opinion, faced with those 2 guys, probably deserved to be in third, but well deserved. Do you not think?
Yeah, I was glad that he was at least in the vote. But to kind of echo Nursey's point about Shadowburn's already been at the top in 6s, so CeeJaey did well because he hadn't been in Prem. But then if you consider Asa coming from Div 3, Div 4 and 6s, he did really well. So I don't know, it's a toss-up between CeeJaey and Asa for me for second place, but Shadowburn for sure was had the best debut.
Hildreth, cast your ever wise eye over these 3 players and give me your analysis.
Well, it's kind of hard to really say. I wouldn't. Well, it's not really hard because there's so many new debuts in the season. There's a lot you can pick from. For example, you could have said, for example, Yang Pai for us could have been in that vote. I actually think he is a bit underrated this season, but in terms of the actual top 3 nominations, I think they're deserved. Shadowburn definitely deserves to win it. Anyone from Premtech, almost anyone from Premtech could have been nominated, to be fair. Asa came in on Medic, which is definitely, it's refreshing to see a Medic nominated, because it's not a class that really gets a lot of attention. So, yeah, that's not all I could really say about it. Shadowburn deserved it.
Spray, I think I cut you off earlier. Do you want to tell me about
I
what you were
think
going to say?
like in terms of actual debut from people that weren't even known or in the game and stuff, I think it was Ubers. Like
Oh,
he
yes,
literally
yes,
like
I agree.
we picked him up from nowhere. We were so desperate before the season. We couldn't find a soldier for us. It would be actually pretty good. And then we also started trialing people who might not be really known. And after a lot of failures, we finally found Ubers. And he did really, really amazing. Like, I don't know what was his experience before Prem, but
Could I say, I
Yeah.
played with Ubers back a couple of years ago when I was starting, when I was making the first Turbo Pandas team in 6s in Div 2 sort of time. He was a bit weird. He's been around TF2 for many, many years, playing at sort of Div 2 6v6 level, so he's definitely got a lot of experience. And I think he deserved a nomination, actually, you're right.
I think he was a player that kind of went under the radar. Again, for Soldier, I think he got a couple of nominations, but wasn't included in the vote. Obviously, didn't receive as many nominations as the top 3. But I agree. I mean, he did a lot for Chess Club, and one of the maps in particular, I think, was on Barn Blitz, where you guys were playing against Kill Switch. And I seem to just remember him going huge so many times, and helping you guys towards the win there. So definitely maybe should have been included there. But I mean, I'm not going to say that he should have been in place of any of the top 3 there, because, you know, they are all great players there, and they probably, you know, did deserve to be in the top 3, but Ubers does deserve a mention. Quintosh, have you got anything to add to that?
No.
Okay, nothing about Ubers, nothing about nothing.
Well, I think Ubers is definitely one of the underdogs. But yeah, nothing he can do. Like, if he doesn't get nominated for Soldier of the Season because he's an underdog, then he doesn't get nominated for any of the other awards either. It's kind of unfortunate for him. He has actually never played Highlander before except for Nations Cups.
I think it's worth saying that for Chess Club, it was that I think that was one of the players that was swapped out that helped Chess Club do so well, because it was like a straight up upgrade compared to the season before. And actually, for me, was the change that made Chess's flank actually strong.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean-
so sorry, carry on.
I mean, our Latvian combo, they sometimes switch to just Latvian language and we can't understand what they say, but they can understand what they need to do. And it works pretty well. Get Latvians on your team. I'm flying. Easy win.
I'm looking for you, Clark.
That's interesting, that is, to have them change on the flank. So there we go, guys. That was a Premiership debut of the season to Shadowburn. So that was his second award. He won Soldier of the Season. He's also won Premiership debut of the season. The next vote is going to be taken over by Hildreth, and I don't even know the results of this one. So on to you, Hildreth.
I think this is the bit we've all been waiting for. When I was asked to come on this show, I didn't give a crap about them over the season. This is what I wanted to see the results for. So we're on to the caster of the season. For the nominations, we've got our host for this evening, CeeJaey. His co-host for a lot of the season, the legendary, the brilliant High GPS, and then there's Bulo as well. So that's the three nominations. So I'll go in reverse order as we've been doing. In third place with 24.2% of the vote and 140 votes, it's High GPS. So there he goes, third place for him. He hasn't been around, but we'll talk about that in a minute. In second place, that's where it gets interesting. It's pretty close here. 35.6% of the vote, 206 votes. It's drum roll. Can you give me a drum roll? No? That'll do. That'll do. It's Bulo, which means our winner is CeeJaey, caster of the season, with 40.2% of the votes, 233 votes. There's only 27 votes in it, but you know, you won.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I don't want to say thank you. I mean, it's been able to casting throughout the season, and shout out to both the other guys. I mean, GPS and Bulo. I've loved casting with both of them. You were talking about GPS. He's actually moved house. He was without internet for quite a long time. So again, another shout out to John for stepping in with the production and doing the camera behind the scenes for the latter half of the season and the playoffs. So you know, thanks to him. But thanks for the vote, guys. I don't really say. I mean, Bulo. I love Bulo as a caster. I love casting with him. I didn't cast with him until the playoffs. Was it against? I think it was Premtech versus Stacked. And what I like about him, he just says it how it is, and he's got good analysis of it as well. And it's good to have sort of a little bit of banter with the co-caster.
So would you say that you didn't deserve it more than Bulo did?
I don't know. I can't judge myself. I don't know why I get asked to cast anyway. So I can't see anything for me. So I can't really judge myself. But definitely Bulo is a great caster, and GPS deserves a lot of credit for the work that he does. You know, it can't really overjudge the kind of the way that it's hard it is to do the camera and cast at the same time, which GPS does when he does the casts. So yeah, credit to him. But you guys are feel free to like to shit talk me or Bulo or whatever. Just go for it. Don't mind me.
I'll dictate this. I'll start it off by saying I think GPS deserves a lot of credit for his coverage earlier in the season, and he is a very consistent caster. When you get past him mentioning Girardi every cast, I don't know why you can't sniper mains, but he deserves a lot of credit for all the effort he's put in. I like Bulo though because he brings something different. You said tells it how it is. He's certainly not afraid to call people out, and he has a lot of knowledge, which he doesn't actually show when he's playing TF2. But when he's casted it, he certainly brings a lot of knowledge and personality to the cast, which make him very enjoyable. But I think what I like about you the most, CeeJaey, is the energy you bring as well. It's certainly very good at doing the play-by-play, which is something you can't really underestimate. Of course, you must have got your MVM fanboys to rig the vote for you. So,
call outs.
No,
I haven't actually mentioned it to anybody because I honestly thought that Bulo was going to run away with it. I just thought he had the big Prem following. I just thought, hey, I didn't even vote on it. Didn't even vote on it because I thought it'd be impartial.
Let's go to another caster this season, Quintosh. See what he thinks.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Alright, I think CeeJaey's getting the award is well deserved. Yeah, as you said, he brings a lot of energy into the casting, and it's a whole different style from the other casters and the casters we've had before. There was like Ryushi, and I think CeeJaey is a bit similar to him.
But much
They have
better.
like the same style.
My vote was with CeeJaey as well. I think he has like a nice style to casting, and like don't sell yourself short. There's some good analysis in there as well. So keep at it, and thanks for doing such a good job this season.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I mean, also shout out to the other casters throughout the season. We've had Quintosh again. You did the semi-final with Bulo, and as a player, you obviously bring a lot of insight to the game as well. We've had players like Jake Owati, and the med for Fair Enough. So anyone who I think puts their time in to do the casts and is able to offer that analysis, it's been great, and I've enjoyed, like, not to badmouth GPS. I love doing the casts with him, but him losing his internet did open up the opportunity for me to cast with some other people, including Hildreth, including Bulo, and I've loved casting with Bulo over the last couple of matches. So it's been really fun, and I'm glad. I think the fact that we both got the nominations, we've got quite a lot of votes, I'm glad people have enjoyed the cast. So as long as we can bring the action across to you guys somehow. But if unless anyone else has got anything else to say, we can move on to the final and the big award.
Wishes.
The final award of the season is Player of the Season. So the best player, MVP, whichever one you want to call it. And there are 3 players in it. And I'm just going to get straight on with it. And one of them is in this stream, in this cast, sorry, in this mumble. So in 3rd place with 15.2% is Beep.
Good. Good.
So perhaps Beep's relieved, and we can come on it's between Breakfast Junior and Shadowburn. So it's between the Soldier and Prem debut of the season, Shadowburn, and the Heavy of the season, Breakfast Junior. So coming in 2nd place with 27.5% of the vote is Breakfast Junior from Chess Club, which means Player of the Season is Shadowburn of Premtech, who ran away with it with 57.35% of the vote. We'll start off with Beep. Beep, you sounded a lot relieved to finish in 3rd place there.
It was more some of the awards have been BS, and I didn't want this award to also be BS. So I'm very, very glad that I think it was out of the 3, if it had to be the 3, it was in the right order. I think Breakfast was very strong, but yeah, Shadowburn, like in our final playoff map, Gully Wash, he top damaged above everybody else, including both Demomen. He just did so well, like it was just ridiculous. So I do think that he deserved win Player of the Season. So good for him.
Breakfast Junior coming in 2nd place, did win Heavy of the season, but is 2nd in Player of the Season. Sprayer and Quintosh, obviously you guys have played with him for the entirety of the season. Probably a little biased, but do you think he deserved to be Player of the Season, or do you think Shadowburn's a more deserved winner?
I feel Breakfast deserved it. I think one of the reasons Chess Club is really, really good is Breakfast. Like when we got him at the end of last season, like it completely, like our team turned around, and he was close to being the best last season. Piddock's performing quite well then, but this season he was just the one who was pushing us forward, who was winning us games and fights. And without him, I don't know if Chess Club would even maybe even make it to the playoffs. Honestly, it'd be really hard.
I think I would disagree with that. I think Chess Club, like as strong as Breakfast is, the team is really good. We're, like top level Prem good. Whereas like I don't want to. I mean, Premtech did really well, but some people, including myself at times, have considered Shadowburn to carry on some maps. Whereas Breakfast, I don't think, is considered to carry chess by most, even though he is ridiculously good. It's because he's clearly like the best Heavy. So yeah, I still think chess is a very strong team. If Breakfast wasn't there, whereas if Premtech had like a mid-Prem Soldier, I don't think they even would have reached the playoffs.
I don't know. I think you're underestimating some of the Premtech players. He certainly, I mean, some of the ones that have been up for awards tonight, like Saini or Tiny, Nursey, and Jace, Jace, I can't even pronounce his name. Juso. They're pretty good players, I have to say. In Chess Club's case, you could see that not as many players have been up for awards, although I don't think that's justified for some of their players.
Well, to be fair, sorry.
But Breakfast, I think, should be MVP. It's on the simple balance. The way I looked at it is Premtech won the final, Shadowburn would be MVP. If Chess Club win it, Breakfast would be MVP. And Chess Club won the final. Breakfast performed really well in the final as well, and he's always been their standout player this season. Not that all the, as you mentioned, the Chess Club players aren't bad, but Breakfast is just doing so much work for them, leading the team. He's really difficult to play against, so he deserves to be winner in my books.
When I think of like Chess Club, like I don't ever immediately think, wow, this person's a hard carry. Like I think everyone at Chess Club like picks up their own weight, and they just know how to play like really well, just like together and around Breakfast Junior. Like no player on Chess Club is like it's pretty easy on our team. You can see that like Tiny and Showerburn does a lot for our team, but when you look at Chess Club, I don't think there's like any player that makes like assault impact themselves. Like I think all 9 players in Chess Club just know how to play Highlander pretty well, and they just play off each other pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, the vote was quite clear in the favor of Shadowburn. I think it comes up to your description of the actual award, as in, is it the player who's played the best or the player who's done best under the circumstances? Perhaps maybe Premtech, a team coming in from Division 1, not expected to do as well as they have done, but to get to the final on the back of players like Shadowburn, whereas maybe Chess Club expected to do well, expected to be there or thereabouts towards the end of the season, and maybe Breakfast not getting as much maybe not as many accolades because they're expected to do it. Perhaps maybe that was people's thinking.
Well,
If we gone, sorry.
I was going to say, if you look at last season, I won the MVP award. I don't think I would have won if my team hadn't come first. I mean, I don't particularly think I was outstanding. In fact, it was really weird. I won the MVP award, but didn't win the demo of the season. So I think a lot credit has to go to the team that wins and the players that get them the victory. Personally, so you're right, it's really hard to decide between them. I don't think it should have been as clear one-sided the vote as it was.
No, and if we ignore Beat for a second, even Beat said that he didn't want to be in the top 3. Is there any other players perhaps that you would add into there to compete alongside Shadow and Breakfast? I mean, CeeJaey came second in the Premiership debut. For me, towards the latter half of the season and in the playoffs, he did excessively well. Could even say carrying at some points. Are there any other players that you feel could be considered for Player of the Season? Beep, I'll start with you.
From this perspective of my own team, I would probably pick Hard he trick stabbed the fuck out of you, so I don't know what you're laughing about. I would pick him to be in the Player of the Season from Stack, but for the other teams, I don't really know, to be honest. So I'm not gonna try to make something up.
Okay, Quintosh, in as calm and less shit talky way as possible, can you think of anyone outside of Breakfast, if he was your choice of Player of the Season? Anyone else you think could be considered?
Probably Steve or Fromello. Like Steve as a pyro, he's like really annoying to play against because he plays so well together with Range Bob. He does like all the calls, and Steve would just stand in a place where he can like be the most annoying and reflect every single thing coming towards him. But none of them are close to Breakfast.
Hildreth, Fromello and Steve mentioned there. Would you consider those two in the vote for Player of the Season? And if not, anyone else?
If I think Fromello would have been a big shout for the MVP if we had won the season and he'd been able to play our game against Premtech, and if we'd somehow managed to win that. To be honest, we deserve to lose that so badly. I can't see how him playing would have made a difference. But so Steve's always been one of our best players. So, but I don't think he would deserve it as much as people mentioned above. Yeah, I think I have to say Hard is definitely in with a good shout for an outside shot. Maybe, yeah, he's probably the standout player for Stacked. So,
Nursey, I'm sure you're going to convince me that Shadowburn is definitely the Player of the Season. But outside of Shadowburn and perhaps CeeJaey, is there anybody else that stands out for you? Either on your team or who you've played against?
On my team, I think Mido is probably. I think Mido was a pretty good Mido was put under a lot of bad circumstances throughout the season, with me being on a really bad sleep schedule majority of the season, so I couldn't make every PCW and had to miss one official, I think. And just I think working with 2 players may have been pretty tough on Mal, because working around our schedule was pretty hard. And Matt has always been pretty encouraging on the team. He was I don't know, I really like Mida was a really good team leader, and he like helped keep Premtex like I2 up all that time. So playing with Mida was pretty nice. And I can't really think of like outside Premtech because like I don't talk to many Euros, so I don't really know much about the team like Formello, and I don't even read the second guy already. I feel like a jerk, but I can't really say anything about those guys because I just don't know anything. Like I never played against Formello, and people tell me he's like one of the best snipers. I don't know that. I never played against him.
I would like to mention also for MVP Scissors. Like he's doing a lot for chess club, and a lot of times it feels like he's not getting much reward or much appreciation for it. I mean, people often make fun of him and stuff in the team, but in reality, he's really a good player. He's a really good pyro. He wasn't really that much noticed. He's probably not as good as Steve, but he's still pretty good. And in general, I think he's been doing a lot of work from chess club all the way since the start, moving forward, and even at the times when we were kind of upset or anything, just maybe having that spirit to move forward and stuff and pick up all these great players together.
Can we make a new award next season? We'll call it the Nijunin Award for best organizer, team leader.
Yeah. That in Highlander it matters a lot. Like,
I actually agree, but it doesn't
Yeah.
make him the best player of the
yeah,
season.
yeah, maybe, but I just wanted to maybe mention him in general. Like we should definitely have that word because I think one of the reasons Voodoo didn't really play well was poor organization in general, and I don't blame Snooki, but in general, just didn't work out well.
Okay, so that's actually all of our awards, guys. So just to recap once more of our team of the season: on Scout, it is Sorex; on Soldier, it is Shadowburn; Pyro is Steve Panda; Demo Hildreth; Heavy Breakfast Junior; Engineer Quintosh; Medic Kisakala; Sniper Sani; and Spy is Polar Bear. I'm just going to double check, and actually it's 4 teams. I was going to say it's 3 teams represented, but Stacked is represented on Scout with Sorex there, but Chess Club, High Panda, and Premtech all having players in the team of the season. Best caster of the season was myself somehow, and Premiership debut of the season was Shadowburn, and player MVP of the season was also Shadowburn. So Shadowburn going away with 3 awards out of a possible 3 this season. So that's it for the awards. But I just want to talk to you guys quickly about season 8. We've mentioned about who's coming back and like, you know, your aims for next season and stuff like that. And, you know, I mean, obviously from now until whenever the next season starts, which could be sort of March time, I guess. We've only really got the UGC seasons, which some of you are taking part in. Obviously, there's TF2Pickup.net to play Highlander pickups to keep yourself sharp. But I'll start with Beep. I mean, you said Stacked are coming back, and you know, do you think you guys can go all the way, reach the playoffs this season? Do you think you can go a step further and get to the final or even win it?
Yeah, I think that last season we underperformed a lot and we switched out about 4 players. It's been like we've changed 4 players every season, including this season. But I think we've finally found a roster that will stick around. So we moved up just 1 place last season, going from 5th to 4th. So I expect next season, if we don't have to replace another 4 people, that we should be able to reach the final. As after all, if we'd won our Badwater game against Fair Enough, we would have been top of the table. So I think that if we keep our roster and don't have to switch people out and start from pretty much scratch again, we will be able to come in the top 2 next season. So yeah, we'll definitely be back. Also, just as I said earlier, playing UGC officials every Monday night just to kind of keep the team from forgetting that we also play Highlander. So yeah, we'll be sticking around, and hopefully not many people will be swapped out.
Quintosh and Sprayer, Chess Club obviously winning the Prem season for season 7. Season 8, I'm going to guess that you guys are going to come back and defend your title, but do you think it's going to be Do you think it's going to be harder than this season? Do you think people are going to be gunning for you because you've won? And any insights on changing your roster? Beep thinks he's found a stable roster. Do you think are there going to be any changes? We did see a change in the final with Hui coming on a demo, and quintosh switching on to NG with Banana Man leaving. Is that a permanent thing, or are you guys going to be changing up over the off season?
It's gonna be a permanent thing. We've had this Crafter's guy on Scout, I think, and Atomic on demo in a scrim. It went pretty well. Like, we're gonna practice with that roster a bit more. Maybe try out a different scout. Not sure if Crafters can commit to a full season, but we're confident in winning the next season as well.
I think it's gonna be pretty hard. We'll need to put a lot of effort. I mean, Chess Club is really good when we got a lot of practice, and one of the reasons we might have not shown our full performance that we could actually show in the finals was because it was really, really hard, even for both teams, to find scrims, and like when we don't practice, we easily lose. We're so practice dependent, and with the changes, I think there might be minor changes since I don't think Hui will be able to commit. So we're trying out, as quintosh mentioned, Atomic on demo, maybe someone else on Scout. So it's gonna be interesting.
Hildreth, quintosh there saying just now that he thinks he's confident of Chess Club defending their title. Highlander, you say, are coming back. And other than shit talking most of your team, you haven't given any insight on anyone who's going to come in and replace them. So, are you going to tell us of any roster changes? And are you going to be determined to take back your title? Or are you going to go kind of what happened with Killswitch and just fade away? What's going to happen?
Nobody makes a team with the aim of fading away. I think I have to say the defeat this season's probably put a lot more desire in some of the players to win. And I haven't talked to everybody after the end of the season. Zoob's still in the I don't know whether Zoob's going to come back, but the roster will have to be different. Get some I hate to use the term, but young blood in. Get some unknowns in. Get some talents. And shift him up. You also might see Steve move off of Pyro this season, put into the combo. So that might be interesting. Hopefully Problemo will come back. He did say that he should have time to play this season. He seems to be a bit biased to play TF2, which is good. So I'm hoping we can keep most of the same roster and sort of balance out the ones that don't have the desire to win with good talented players that are coming up. That's the aim. And we also probably need to recruit a few new backups. I think Stacked will be pretty good next season. I actually have to say, Beep does have a point about the consistency of a roster. It makes a huge difference. Highlander is so hard to keep organising games that week after week, 9 players and having like 3-4 month long seasons. If Stack can keep the same sort of roster, I think they'll have a good season as well. So yeah.
Okay, cool. That's interesting. So Pyro of the season from the past 3 seasons, I want to say, season 5, 6, and 7. Steve, maybe moving off of Pyro, so might see a different Highlander roster in season 8. But so that's 3 teams. That's 3 of the top 4 teams that have said that they're coming back and they're confident for next season. Nursey, I'm sure you're going to be very busy with you and Kresnik obviously playing for Kids Next Door in UGC Plat, which has started last Monday. So you're going to be pretty busy in the ETF2L off season. But once it starts up again, are you and Premtech going to be coming back for season 8? And do you think you can go one step further than just representing in the final?
So I know Premtech is definitely coming back next season. Our roster is majorly the same. Like, I don't think anyone's planning on leaving the team. So Maya hasn't talked to me a lot about it. He just told me that everyone's staying on the team next season. And there might be a roster change in the middle of the season because someone did say they're going to have to leave in the middle of the season. But I don't think I'm really allowed to say who it is. But I do know there's a chance I might not be able to play next season if my radio starts picking up because I'm gonna be busy during the time as officials are played, usually. But I know everyone is definitely staying, but there's only a chance. Like someone's definitely in the middle of the season next season, and there's a chance I might not be able to stay. But I think I'm going to end up staying. I don't know for sure yet.
But as a team, Premtech is planning
Yes.
on coming season 8.
Yep, everything's most likely going to be the same.
We haven't got anyone from Fair Enough, but I've seen no signs of them
I think
quitting.
Fair Enough are pretty determined to play, just because I was talking a little bit to Blood Drunk, because there was a time where I was thinking we'd have to replace Fromello. He seems pretty keen to stay with Fair Enough. In fact, they're planning to go to the LAN, so I think you'll see them next season.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them talking about going to the German LAN, and they actually do have a roster in UGC along with Stackton Chess Club. So obviously trying to maybe remain sharp in the off season. So expecting them to come back, and just maybe a shout out to them coming in with 23 points. A team that hasn't been represented really in the vote other than Blood Drunk for and didn't get any exposure in the playoffs because they missed out. But they've done pretty well in the season, I think, finishing in 5th. And they were well ahead of 6th place. Looking at the rest of the teams, we've got Killswitch, which is confirmed. I believe that they are dead and they are not coming back. Same as Voodoo, the team that finished bottom. And Hepper, I'm not sure what their plans are, whether they intend on coming back. They did finish in the playoff relegation spot. There are teams in Div 1. Wasp, the Russian team, finished top of Division 1, so they will be representing in Prem next season. And there's also rumours of other teams being made. I don't have any rumours about possible team makeups for Season 8.
Oh, yes.
Oh, hell, just give me the rumours, come on.
We've got the Bulo and Mookie team that's actually played a lot of PCWs towards the end of the playoffs when everyone was not playing anymore. So I think all of us have had a little bit of a look at them. But from what I saw of the roster, I can't quite remember who the scout is. Does anyone remember who the scout is?
There's a roster I'm looking at on ETF2L at the moment. It's got Mookie,
Fanny?
Phantom,
Yeah,
Fanny.
Fanny, yeah. Mookie's Soldier, Fanny's Scout. Pyro is, again, this is another one that I've completely forgotten.
Tamu?
Yeah, there's been a couple of different Pyros, I think, by the look of it. Deberman is IRFX, the Russian, also known as George. The Heavy is Phantom. NG's Bobbler. Medic is Bulo. The Sniper... No, I'm not sure about the Sniper either. Does anyone else know more about this team? Can't remember them. This is how memorable they were.
Nope.
I saw
Oh, DC on the
the
roster.
snipers. Just
Sorry. DC on the roster, CeeJaey.
I've posted it in Mumble. There's Puzzle on the roster and Freaky is also on the roster. So I'm not sure how accurate that is, whether it's just random players on there or not.
They were talking about Snow at one point, but I'm not
Snow
sure.
was on the ETF2L roster, but has left a few weeks ago.
Ah, okay.
But again, the season's a long way away, but that looks like a team. Do you think that's a team that could... Mookie was one of the standout soldiers for It's All Good, and obviously Bulo finishing second with It's All Good as well. Do you think that's the team that could challenge, could do something in Prem?
Does anyone else want to go first? No. Well, from what I've seen of them, they're a bit in their combo. They're lacking quite a lot. Also, in Highlander, you really need to have a strong sniper. I think they need to pick up, like maybe someone like Tracker would be a good pickup for them, and then I think they'll need to, sort out some of the coordination in their combat. I wouldn't say they've got bad players individually, but they don't seem to work together very well. I think Joe in the UFC is a guy that they should be trying to chase down, trying to persuade him to stop playing with his freaking girlfriend and get him back into Prem, or he can just murk like he did in Season 6. So if you're listening, Joe, there's plenty of offers around for you. If they could get Joe on Deberman, I think they have a pretty good team. I've
been linked some other teams. Quintosh is linked a team here. It looks like looks like whether this is the old Turbo Poop team.
Oh, it's large piece of beef.
Large piece of beef, right? So Russian Ukrainian kind of team has got some players on there. Dicker, Dr. Kakashka, got Nesh Unlimited. So
Yeah,
quite a few
earlier
players
on,
on there.
or was it yesterday, Unlimited? I saw left the stacked roster, and I was like, "What's this?" And checked and saw, yeah, the new old beef team. So I assume he'd be playing main demo because he doesn't want to sub anymore. Like he always wanted to play with us, but his DM was great, but he could barely speak English, so he couldn't communicate like damage and stuff. So I assume he'll be their main demo. Looks like a decent team.
Just looking at the Twitch chat, Blood Drunks has said that Mint is joining, fair enough, and replacing Zimmer. CeeJaey is joining and replacing Jake. And they're actually looking for a scout. So it looks like they're changing a few players on their roster as well. Looking at the team that you've linked, Beat, that's one that I've looked at before called Where is Kaido?
Is it a LAN team?
I'm not sure. But
because there were rumors before season 7. Actually, more at the end of season 6, that Samsey wanted to make a Highlander team of sixes players again because, like, obviously Samsey was our first season, but he was always like commenting at how shit Highlander players were, like walking in straight lines and this and that. And I remember getting the sense that he was like, I think he would want to make a sixes team. And then there was a rumor that apparently Tutorial was talking to him, and he said he wanted like to make a sixes Highlander team, if you know what I mean, for season 7, but that didn't happen. But maybe this is it, or maybe this is just for LAN.
Who's on the roster?
It's linked in Mumble.
guys, sorry to
Gubbins,
interrupt,
Samsey.
but I've got inside information. I've just literally the second been speaking to Gubbins. I was like, tell me about your Highlander team. He said it's a real team. It's actually going for ETF2L next season. But they're not likely to ask for Prem because Cadus is playing Spy, apparently. So whether that team, who knows what will happen. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Beat, but on that roster, you've got the likes of Cadus, Permzilla, Simsy, Thalash, all well-known players from playing in Prem. And then there's other players such as Gubbins, obviously another Prem player. And then there is T, Epoli, Fribs, Loris, also on there.
That's the friend team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're not going to be a contender.
I mean, Epoli, Fribs play on the same sixes team as Gubbins. And T, I believe, is a medic.
Fribs is, I think Fribs is Cadus' girlfriend, I think.
Yeah.
Not 100%, so yeah, that's not a serious team. It's a shame, because I'd love to see a sort of another team like that. So the spirit of Estus, I'd love to see another team like that come back and throw a spanner in the works, because I always felt the Highlander was more interested when you had Dara22 and Estus D or Yamasthur playing. But that's not going to be a proper team.
Just looking at Div 1, Wasp 1, Div 1, and it's kind of like I want to say fairy tale story, that's too like lame, but they've been together since Highlander season 2, and in each season they've gone up one division. So season 2 they started in 6, and they've played 5-4-3-2, and then winning season in season 7 winning division 1. I played against them in division 2 in season 6, and this season they've looked really, really strong, and obviously they'll be playing in Prem next season. Does anyone know anything about this team? Have any of you played against them? Have they asked for scrims against Prem teams?
Never played them.
Wasp?
I've played against them ever since I started Highlander. They've been in every single division I've been in, except for this season and last ETF2L season, I think. I don't know, when there were seedings done for Premiership at the beginning, they were looking for an eighth team, I think. So I was like asking Wasp if they wanted to take the spot, but they said no, they just wanted to play it with one. They're not really confident playing Prem.
I mean, they have a pretty stable roster. A lot of the players have been there for a long time, and from when I've played against them, scrimmed against them this season as well, they seem like really nice guys. They came second in UGC most recent season. They lost to Vision of Ecstasy, which was pretty much a Prem Division 1 mixed team. But they're a pretty successful team. So, I mean, who knows what could happen between now and start of season 8, whether they will go for Prem or not. The other team that did pretty well in Division 1 was it was called Resident Sleeper, now called Dictatorship. They lost the Division 1 playoff final, I guess, to settle on who won. Not sure whether that team's going to be going for Prem or not.
Was that? I thought that final wouldn't have been played because didn't that guy go for a retard and kick everyone, and then Nick, and then they still had an upcoming game. Was it actually played
I think it was
played, yeah.
against Heppa, and they lost?
Oh,
No, I'm asking. I'm not saying.
I don't see it on the match pages anywhere.
I
No,
didn't think they
would
played
play.
it. I thought like because he did that, that they forfeited their game.
yeah.
And thus
There was
wouldn't get a spot.
there was a playoff to decide who finished first, which they lost to Wasp, so they finished second. And yeah, I suppose they would play Heppa. Counter in the Twitch chat says Beep is correct. The match versus Heppa was not played. And looking at the roster just now, there is only actually 6 players left on it. So I'm not sure whether that team's going to be reforming or what. It seems a lot of people did leave. So yeah, again, not
Well,
sure.
they were
whether-
kicked. They didn't leave. Like after they lost the season, the guy Nick just went in pure nerd rage mode and kicked like 10 people from the roster, which meant that they would obviously automatically forfeit their game to see if they could secure a spot in Prem. But they were actually pretty good in the season and were better than Voodoo, probably maybe Heppa. And I'm sure if they got back together with a similar roster, they would make Prem.
Okay, and honestly, I'm all out of any info that I have. So, and anything to talk about for next season. I mean, looking forward to it. Obviously, it should be good if you guys are all staying in. Seems the top 5 teams of Prem are going to stay in with the same, if not slightly changed rosters, and some new blood coming in. Have you guys got anything to add? Anything to talk about for next season, or anything you want added towards the end? Because I think we're going to close up soon enough.
Is Swiss system gonna work in Highlander next season?
Well, it
That's a good
doesn't affect
question.
Prem, I think.
No, it won't affect Prem. It's be the
No.
same as the 6's one. So we'll have open, mid or main, I think it's called, high, and then Prem, which will be the same. I'm guessing it will going to stay the same size of 8 teams.
Another question would be about the playoff system. Are they going to change it? Because I think they should make it a day, like they do in 6's.
Yeah,
now.
but then they have to do payload maps, best of 1 again. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
it.
I mean, okay, well that's actually a very good point. Maybe stretch it over more than a day, but you see, I mean, I think the playoff should be shortened, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like, if you come first in the season, there's like 3 weeks or something, or is it even more because of Christmas? If it's around Christmas time, that you don't play an official, which is not ideal.
Yeah,
I was going to mention that actually, that Chess Club are the first team to have finished first in the regular season and then gone on to win the playoffs. Bilo was the first person to, I think, bring it to my attention that since season 4, I think, when SNSD came first in the regular season and lost the final to Daratutu, from then on, the team that's finished first in the regular season has gone on to lose. And I think that delay from finishing the regular season, and then you've got a few weeks, nearly a month before you actually play the grand final, and scrims start to get a bit hard to come by. Maybe it would be wise to kind of shorten it.
Well, it doesn't help that the sort of time delay, I suppose. But I also think if you could shorten the playoffs, you could make more time throughout the year, and you could have a third ETF2L season. Because playing 2 seasons a year is a bit boring. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy the Nations Cup. For Highlander, it's actually a pretty good tournament. But I just think they should be trying to fit more seasons in there, if possible. Or you can play in UGC, but I don't know the UGC's way it's set up.
What, with the mercs or with the system?
A lot of things, but I think just playing on Mondays, for example, I just don't like that.
You have like the people that complain about not or having trouble scheduling games because people want to play 6's, and then you have the people that want longer seasons. Like I think it's the most optimal way right now.
Kautu has just told me that he's planning a sit down with all the Prem leaders to kind of organize things for next season, including the structure of the playoffs and time wise. So I'm guessing between now and the start of season 8, there'll be some discussions between some of you guys and the admins to just kind of see, maybe to try and make it more optimal. See it the best you can. Fitting in more seasons might be a good idea, but
One of
yeah,
the things
have to see about scheduling.
the purpose for that conversation is apparently also to discuss unlocks with the leaders of Prem as well.
Oh, unlocks.
that'll
We
be
haven't touched on
Vegas
unlocks.
Bazooka.
Okay,
Considering
unlocks. Come on. You just can't stop keep banning unlocks. Just look for the most overpowered ones. Beggar's Bazooka, for the record, I don't think is overpowered. It's a bit gimmicky, but if someone like Hearts can find a way to use it, well, I welcome that playing against a new star, because otherwise it's just so freaking boring. You've got to allow more unlocks in the future. It's the only way forward.
Listen, if you want to be good at unlocks, then use a direct hit, not the beggars. I refuse to play with the beggars with 130 ping. You can't dodge those rockets.
You can't. That's why you got to surf them. I remember.
With
Do you remember
130
playing?
ping, you ain't surfing shit.
No, man, I've got videos I could show you. Do you remember Sneaky Polar Bear?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. I think he was the guy that got it banned. He it wasn't that hard to deal with him when you kind of just expect it coming. But he was a
there's only like 3 soldiers in NA that actually know how to use the beggars, and beggars banned in NA now, so it doesn't matter.
I just think banning weapons just because they're annoying or gimmicky is just
Yeah,
wrong.
I know. The only weapon I think that shouldn't be banned because it's like annoying is the soda popper, to be honest. Like the beggars, like I understand because apparently it's not fair to the flank for on some maps. I never played the flank, so I don't really understand
Yeah,
that
that's
argument.
rubbish. Continue.
But the soda popper, I really like. I know they're considering banning the soda popper in NA, which I think is complete bull. Because I think the soda popper is it's a good alternative to the stock, and I don't know.
Okay, barring any more discussion about unlocks, I think we're pretty much wrapping up here. And that's one last chance, guys. If you've got anything to add about season 8, unlocks, maps, maps, reservoir.
No reservoir.
I would like to try out King of the Hill Nipple Twister.
What? That's
You
not
should
a
check.
thing, is it?
That's
a
something
thing.
you can bring up with Calci.
It is a thing, I think. I don't know, maybe some famous YouTuber made a video about it. Like
We can play
Wow.
Payload Grapple Pit.
Payload does both.
There's a
Why
payload
not?
version of Gravel Pit.
I mean, I'm just going to throw this out there. After seeing Reservoir in the grand final of season 7, I'm sure Chess Club are going to be keen, but should we have it, if it's changed, if it's updated, or if it's still as is, Reservoir for next season, or a different map, a new map?
Reservoir's fine. Just
Yeah,
update
Reservoir.
it. It's
the
good to see
updated
something
version.
new.
The updated version, it has like a lot of props to make callouts for locations way easier, and it's just a different map, like a different King of the Hill map. And when it gets easier to do callouts, it gets easier to coordinate your team. And then the map is going to be a lot less aids than it is right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pete.
I would just agree with that, and they've also changed like the timers for how long how long it takes to go down and how long to cap it, and I think that's
It's
a really
pretty
good
cool.
benefit, and it's cool to see a new Koth map. I mean, Lakeside, it was time to go. Same with Badwater. I mean, come on, it's just we need some new maps in the pool. Like Badwater should go. I think it did go in UDC. I think it's just kind of stale now.
I agree about getting new maps in, like for payloads. It's certainly a little bit more interesting to play new maps, but I don't agree with like Reservoir. The map wasn't even complete. That's one of my big problems with it. The other thing about it is I just
It's
think
not
the
the
maps
maker's
it's just the
fault,
maps, really. The whole map is because you go on the ramps. You got like 4 or 5 different doors everywhere. It's just crazy.
Yeah, but it's not really the map maker's fault because he did update
Yeah, it doesn't
the
matter
map.
if the map maker's fault or not. It's just the map should never have been in the map pool. I don't really like the design. I mean, from the spawn, it's one-dimensional, and you just either go under or forward. Then on the middle, this big, wide open space. Snipers can dominate certain lanes. Underneath there's a mess of doors everywhere between the ramps and the underneath and then above the point. I don't like it. No way is it better than Lakeside. I'm all for new maps, but pick good ones.
Kautu's saying they're playtesting a 2 CP map and a new Koth map, so we could well see some new maps for like brand new maps, not reservoir new, like brand new for next season. I mean, we don't want a drama like Reservoir from this season.
One night cups, but yeah, carry on.
Yeah, one night cups. That's what I was going to come into, was to say like some testing, some kind of something for people to have a look at the map and have a look at before the start of the season would be good. I'm always open to new things.
John is saying Dom Canal Zone to me on Steam. Shut up, John. This is why you don't get to express your opinion.
Canal Zone was one of the most painful things I ever had to experience. Season 7 UGC, never again. Hildreth has said to me on Steam about German LAN. Get some hype for that, which is happening in September this year. A Highlander orientated LAN, which will be the first of its kind. Obviously, we had Highlander of some sort at I-52. The grand prize being
Only here for pizza.
A pizza, yeah. Only here for pizza.
And
winners.
medals.
And medals, yeah, real medals. So
Do you want to see my medal? I've still got it.
Please.
Yeah,
Actually,
Yeah,
I don't know
sure.
where it is, to be fair. It's probably under somewhere in my room, lost.
but as fun as that was, I'm sure we've all kind of TF2 lands have been 6v6 orientated, and it's nice that there's actually a Highlander orientated one in the works. So there's some teams that have been talking about it. I've heard Team 9 might kind of talk about it and come in, and fair enough from Prem. Are any of you guys, any of your teams planning of maybe not representing, because it's hard to get 9 players there, but some of you going with some sort of roster to the LAN?
I heard something about chess. A few people.
Yeah,
might be
we're
considering
going.
it.
Fair enough is going. Some other team. No. What's it called? Spray, do you know?
I don't know. Maybe was it?
Team 9 is definitely going. Fair enough is definitely going.
We want to go. Certainly a few of our players are interested. But for some of it also depends because we don't know what our roster will be next season as well.
I think Premtech is actually going as well.
I'm so glad I live in Europe.
Yeah.
In Nursey will be able to.
We can do a
come over
fundraiser
easy.
for you, you know?
I
That's
think
how
Milo
all the
actually
Americans get
mentioned.
over, isn't it? Fundraisers.
I know Milo said I think Milo, he said he was going to try to get some people to actually donate to help get me and Karzik there, but I don't think Karzik and I are
Like-
just going to be able to go.
Use your prize money, get some more cash. I don't know, and easy.
Easy.
I think it's pretty ambitious, but I like ambition. It's good, man. We're planning on hopefully going. Depends on our team. We might be able to get a high panda team over. Hopefully, we'll see. We'll see, man. It's a while away.
I mean, it's promising. I mean, you know, it could have been easy to just say, let's do another 6v6 LAN and organize kind of Highlander on the side. But I'm liking the bravery of just saying, look, this is a Highlander LAN. Let's see if we can do it. And even if we just get a few teams there and organize some sort of tournament, it should be good. I would like to make my way there, but we'll have to wait and see.
Depends on the community.
Yeah, it needs support from the community, and it needs people to be willing to kind of go that extra bit in order to get there. Any final plugs? Just talk about TF2pickup.net to play the Highlander in before season 8, to warm it up. Also, there's UGC going on with a few Prem teams participating. But off the top of my head, I'm not sure if there is anything else to talk about.
No, I think it's just been a good season. Some unexpected results, some good drama as well. Always like some good drama in this league. So yeah, I think let's just move on to shoutouts, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll start from the top. Beep, have you got any shout outs for the end?
Just shout out to my team for being so keen to game this season, and hopefully we can do it next season. And shout out to Chess for winning. And just a reminder that Asa came from Div 3. Thank you.
Right, thank you. And Quintosh, any shout outs from you?
Shout outs to Blackout Gaming, Blackout TV, done a lot of effort, put a lot of effort into covering all the games, and hoping to see some UGC coverage as well, maybe. Also shout out to Scissors because he's asking for it. Alright, go on.
Yeah. Hopefully, I think there will be UGC coverage. Hopefully, we can get some casters together and be able to do those games. John and I have been talking about it.
Shout out to Breakfast, and I can cast some games if you want me to.
Oh, there we go, John. Quintosh is up for some casting. Surely you'll be playing with Chess Club. Surely, if you're playing. But we'll move on. We're doing shout outs. Hildreth, any shout outs from you?
There's a couple. I want to shout out you guys at Blackout for all the work this season. John behind the scenes, GPS earlier in the season, all the casters. Also just want to shout out my team, despite the fact that we didn't do what we hoped it set out to achieve, but it's still a lot of fun playing with the team. And hashtag #NotsBoys for life. And finally, shout out to Bulo. I just want to remind him that Kisakala has more ETF2L awards than you to date.
Love it. Nursey, any shout outs from you?
Shout out to everyone in K&D. Shout out to Moof. Shout out to New, and I don't know what else. I have to thank Heavy GPS and CeeJaey for being there a lot. And I don't know who. The person who had the bright idea to cast would be every single match Premtech had.
Right, and Sprayer, are any shout outs from you?
I want to give a shout out for my best Depto buddies, which are Scissors, Tropia, and Atomic. Also, Chess Club, of course. And, of course, my old teams. You just got panned, especially Bramble, VX, and Gil. The Hooligans with Popcorn, D'Artagnan, and Polar Bear. You guys are listening and you're still playing the game. Hoping for the Italian comeback to ETF2L. That's it.
Okay, thank you. And I guess finish up. Shout out to my team. Shout out to all of the teams in Prem for giving us the entertainment this season. It has been a really, really good season. Shout out to all of my fellow casters. It's been a pleasure working with the likes of GPS and Bulo, and especially to John for organizing all the casts, for setting up all the relays, for setting up all the schedules and getting the casters together, sorting it out with the teams, and for setting up award shows like this. This is all on John. So he doesn't talk, he doesn't get much exposure, but he does so much for Highlander and TF2. So a big thank you to him.
You should definitely subscribe and follow.
Absolutely, subscribe and follow to Blackout Gaming TV. Show your support for John and everyone who puts in their time to sort this out. But this has been the ETF2L Highlander Season 7 awards show. Thank you to everyone who's been watching. Congratulations to the winners, and a final congratulations again to Tourette's Chess Club for winning the Premiership title. Thank you to Beep, Quintosh, Hildreth, Nursey, Sprayer, and of course John for coming with me today and sharing their insight on the season. And hopefully we'll see you in UGC matches perhaps, but definitely for Season 8 in the future.